righty, everyone. Happy Wednesday to everyone out there, and welcome to another episode of Nostalgia Saved. And this time we are talking about quite possibly the best in the series, but personally my favorite video game of all time, Mass Effect 2. And of course, joining me, as always, is Mr. Nerdathan Neo. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Yeah, it's not my favorite in the series, but it is excellent. It's hard to argue against the greatest in the series, though. So I do understand why it's most people's favorite in the franchise, and for a lot of people, favorite game of all time, like yourself.
Yes, exactly. It's definitely one of the games that I grew up really anticipating the most, and it did not disappoint when it finally did come out. When it came out worldwide on January 26th, 2010, coming day one to PC, Xbox 360, and eventually it came to the PS3 a little bit later, a year later, on January 18th, 2011.
It was on
So,
PC on launch day?
yep.
I did not realize that. I thought it
Yep.
came PC later as well.
No, it actually came to PS3 later.
I did know that.
Yeah. But of course, Mass Effect 2, one of the better selling video game franchises of all time, would start off the first week of sales with 2 million units in the first week, and then eventually go on to sell close to 6 million units overall in its lifetime. So very, very successful game, very big smash hit, and overall just a really, really amazing story overall.
I was like, I should probably go grab it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. I have it. No. All right.
I got something I'll send you that'll help you with for that next time.
Oh.
But everyone out there too, this is part 2 in their series. If you want to check out our first conversation about Mass Effect 1, I would say go and check that. Links to that will be in the video post the stream, or you can go on my channel right now and click on the little Nostalgia Saved, and you can go over there and find the episode and listen to it now and come back to this one later. But before that, that's all I got to say. Mr. Neo, what is your experience with Mass Effect 2?
Mass Effect 2. Okay. Yeah, I am I'm almost positive I got Mass Effect 2 and 3 on launch night. I know Mass Effect 3 I got on launch night. I'm pretty sure I did Mass Effect 2 as well. I'd have to go back and look at my achievements, but I think I got Mass Effect 1 on launch as well, but I don't think I did a midnight launch for that. But I was super excited for it because Mass Effect quickly became one of my favorite franchises of all time. Although Mass Effect 2 and 3 are much more like each other than Mass Effect 1. There was kind of I wouldn't say huge juxtaposition between the two, between 1 and 2, but they do feel very different, where 2 and 3 are very similar. I think we might have mentioned this last time, but I think 1 was built on one engine, and then 2 and 3 were built on a separate engine, but 2 and 3 were on the same engine. At least it feels that way.
I think they were both made on Unreal 3, if I recall correctly.
That I know 2 and 3 were. I don't know if 1 was, but if they are on the same engine, that's kind of impressive because they feel quite different. But yeah, I did mention on our first one that I followed the development of Mass Effect very closely because it was like, I grew up as a huge fan of Star Wars, both movies and games, and this kind of was like the new Star Wars for me because it was, this Mass Effect only existed as a video game. It didn't have like lots of other media. It didn't start as a movie or a TV show or anything. So this was like the more interactive Star Wars, and a big grand space opera, but with RPG elements. Something that Halo didn't have. So I was super excited for this, and there's a couple of small nitpicks I have with the game, but overall it is fantastic. Early on, I ended up liking Mass Effect 1 more than 2, but over time I've switched on that, and I definitely like Mass Effect 2 more than Mass Effect 1. But all three of them, like I said, Mass Effect's my favorite video game franchise of all time. I love all three of these games. They all have their even though they're all great games, there's definitely things to nitpick about each one of them. I'd probably say Mass Effect 2 has the least amount of things I can nitpick. But yeah, it's a awesome game with a lot of your choices have impact on the end, and there are a lot of interesting endings that you can end up with in this game.
Yeah, for sure. It's also one of the a lot of people say that this is when Mass Effect stopped being more of an RPG, and I kind of always counter back and say this is when Mass Effect started to become a streamlined RPG.
That is my biggest issue with the game is like Mass Effect 1. I probably mentioned this on our first stream, but Mass Effect 1 is like super heavy on the RPG elements and kind of like not so much on the shooter elements. And Mass Effect 2 felt like they kind of flipped that and went way more in the shooter elements and kind of laid off on the RPG elements. And that's where I think Mass Effect 3 got the perfect blend of the two.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I always look at this as like Mass Effect 1 was very bloated. That's my big issue with it. It just felt like there was a lot of useless junk and they just didn't know what they wanted to do. Versus Mass Effect 2 felt like, okay, the classes feel like an actual RPG, you know? Like if you play as a paladin, the paladin has certain abilities and he can only do certain things. And that's what it felt more like here, where it's just like, okay, now these classes feel like they're actually specialized in doing what they're meant to do.
Yes, it definitely felt like the classes were more unique than in the first one for sure.
Yeah, just it like I said, it was their first attempt to make an RPG like Mass Effect. They've done similar styles of games with KOTOR and obviously Jade Empire, but Mass Effect 2 for me was just like it was so much better because it was just like, okay, I'm running, I'm gunning, everything looks a lot cleaner, sleeker. You know, it definitely had a graphical update for sure. And on top of that too, it just felt like the combat aspect of that game just felt better because the classes were able to do certain special abilities. You could streamline them, hotkey everything. And on top of that, too, you know, they did have an ammo system as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but I was not a huge fan of that change, but I understand why they made it.
Yeah, I mean, they try to do like a lore reason for it too, where they just like the thermal clips are better because it, you know, doesn't work in 0G, but now they can work in 0G or something. They were saying. Like they
Yeah,
tried really hard to just like try to justify it, and but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, when you have like an infinite ammo glitch and you can just delete everything, it does make the gameplay a little bit easier.
yeah, exactly. It's like I understand why they made the change. Wasn't a huge fan of it, especially because in like in the lore and in the book, like the very opening of the first book, it does a lot of world building of how they track time differently in the setting of the Citadel and how guns don't work like our guns do now. That all their guns are basically
Rail accelerators, basically.
yes, they're basically rail guns and shoot microscopic particles at near the speed of light. And one slab of whatever they use for the ammo is basically infinite ammo. And then one game later, they changed all of that. So
Yeah, you get the little lore building too. Sir Isaac Newton is the most deadliest son of a bitch in the galaxy. Remember that line?
that's right. I don't remember who said that though.
It was like some human Marines. They were getting drilled by their drill sergeant, and he's talking about how the gunfights work in outer space and how their technology works. And that's where the famous line, Sir Isaac Newton is the most deadliest son of a bitch in the galaxy. Great line. I want that as a T-shirt. I know I've seen T-shirts like that before.
Oh, I have not seen that, but that would make a great shirt.
Yeah, there were fun memes. I know that, and I think some people put them on shirts. But it's just like it says. It's just a picture of Sir Isaac Newton. It says "deadliest son of a bitch in the galaxy."
That's great.
But yeah, man, I was so excited to get Mass Effect 2. I remember I went to Best Buy, and I didn't buy the collector's edition for this one. I just had
I
the
wanted
regular
to, and
edition.
I didn't either. But I am gonna change that at some point.
Yeah, I was able to get it later. You can find it pretty much out there because it was a very successful game. But I just remember going to a Best Buy just randomly on one day. I think I just got paid, and I think I just walked into Best Buy, and I'm like, "Oh, Mass Effect 2 is out. That's right." And I picked it up, and it's been just there ever since for me. Just constantly play it. Love this game so much. Love the character. Love the cast. Love the story. Probably the best DLC like characters you'll get in this game outside of Mass Effect 3. There's only one, although in Mass Effect 3.
Yeah,
but he's
we'll
the
get
best
into
one.
that on the next one.
He's definitely the best one.
Yeah, we'll get into the DLC characters as well. Yeah, one of them I don't like as much as other people, but I do understand the love for that character. And then the other one, I was just like, it's cool to have more characters, but I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah. One of the big criticism this game gets is that it's often called Expendables in outer space.
I've not heard that, but
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. Basically, the whole concept of the game is Commander Shepard's just doing a whole suicide mission, trying to figure out who the big bad of this one is. And I want to start this one off first because I always say this one. Probably the best campaign commercials that you can have.
Oh.
As well.
Are you playing it?
No, I'm not. Oh, wait. Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's just we're little. There we go. Pink.
Okay, I was like, it went all black. Yeah, when we did top 5 trailers, you brought this one up. Excellent.
That can't happen. Now, the fate of humanity lies in the hands of an assassin. A savage. A loyalist. A psychopath. They don't expect us to survive, but that never stopped me before.
Don't mistake me for a common soldier. I act alone. I act without mercy. I bring death to those who deserve it.
Well, one thing I will say too, these commercials always popped up on Sci-Fi, and I don't know why I was watching. Yeah, on the channel they would always pop up, and I don't know why Sci-Fi was like the go-to hub for Mass Effect, but at the same time I kind of do because the name implies it. But I just always remember watching these commercials.
I don't remember ever actually seeing these on TV. I think the first time I saw them was on YouTube.
They always made me hype, and it's just like I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this girl? And it's just like, we'll play through them. It's a little bit of 3-minute, 45-second thing, but I think everyone should just remember this one for sure.
Occasionally, to those who do not. Sometimes I feel regret. Sometimes I feel remorse. But most of the time, I feel nothing. I was chosen for this mission.
Just Thane's so cool in this commercial.
He's an art, and I.
Yes, he is.
Am a master.
I'm joining Shepard. He acts on his impulses. He trusts his instincts. I like that. Me? I'm here to kill. If he tells me to kill, I'm gonna kill. If he tells me to fire, I'm gonna fire. If he tells me to stop, I'll stop. Eventually. I'm joining Shepard.
I also like how they don't tell you who their names are. They just tell you what they are.
To fight.
I don't have patience for incompetence.
That's
or
true.
recklessness, or heroes. This mission might seem insane, and the odds of survival might be low, but I will achieve success. Because of this crew, or in spite of it. I'll follow Shepard's orders.
I also like how they use different models to make it
but he'll have
feel
to
like
fight
there's
to
like just
earn
different
my
characters,
trust.
This mission.
Yeah, like they're not the in-game characters or models.
My
They're
penance
like
for destroying blood.
more accurately
But Commander
rendered.
Shepard has my allegiance to count on. He has my skills at his disposal.
Yeah, I remember when we got a Solarian. I'm like, ooh, we get a Solarian ally?
I have done my part for peace, but I have also done my share of killing. I will join Shepard to save the humans. I will fight for the lost.
I'm not fighting for humans. That's Shepard's
Ah,
job.
Jack. I was
He's
like, who is
deliberate.
this lady? Whatever.
Patient.
Who's this crazy?
It pisses
crazy
me
lady?
off.
I like how they had to make her more modest to be on TV too.
He knows what he wants.
That's true.
So do I. But when I see what I want, I can take it. Shepard, he's gonna think about it. I guess that's why he's commander. Like I said, pisses me off. I'm not fighting for Shepard. I'm not fighting for anyone. I'm fighting because that's what I was made for.
I believe that's all of them. Yep, that's all of them.
And then random dancing cat.
Yeah. But yeah, the hype commercials for this one were just like they were so mysterious. They had basically mocap actors and they got them with like special models and everything to show off who they were. And they didn't tell you who they were. It's like the scientist, the savage, the assassin, the loyalist, the psychopath. It just had this really awesome and this really like mysterious aura about them because it's just like, well, who are these characters? And they had this like really put together montage of like actual story events too. Like once you play the game, like they show parts at the end of the game, beginning of the game, their loyalty missions.
That's right. After the game had been on a while, there were some other trailers that were a bit spoiler some.
Yeah. But overall, I like I said, I've loved this game. I used to have, going through my head like, okay, what kind of theories are they going to do? What are we going to do? And the funny part is this game just completely just checks you out. Like, just like, here's the dangers of the new universe to establish how bad these new enemies are. So obviously at the end of Mass Effect, as we talked about, you defeat the Reaper threat, but you're still kind of doing mop up of all the Geth that are throughout the galaxy. And Shepard and crew is just going out there. They're just putzing along in space. And then all of a sudden you run into this giant, crazy, over-the-top enemy mothership that just destroys the Normandy. And, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Commander Shepard dies.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2 has, in my opinion, probably the best like opening sequence of like any video game ever. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really loved about it was just how quickly they established that this new threat is not one to be taken lightly. And you don't know anything about them. They don't give it a name. It's just this giant cigar-looking, laser beam death machine that just goes around and he just like starts killing members of the Normandy. Some of them that pretty well. And if you had a love interest, that's like the first person that runs and tells you like, "Hey, Shepard, we got to get out of the ship." And then you're like, "Yeah, the ship's gone, bros. Let's go. Let's go." And then you basically have to try to go and rescue, Joker. And he's trying to like say like, "I'm not going down. I'm going to try to save the ship." Just like every good.
I can save it. It's like the ship's already gone. We got to go.
It's like, sir, there's holes all over in the thing right now. Technically, if you leave this little bubble, you're in outer space. That's how bad this is. So you kind of finally convince him to leave, but Shepard does not make it into the life pod, and then he or she just quickly gets spaced and winds up as nothing but a pile of meat.
Yeah. So right before that, the one part that really struck me about the opening of the game is I don't remember if it's on your way to the cockpit or after you get Joker, but you walk out into like the main, like the hub room of the Normandy, and the whole like ceiling is gone. You can like look up out into space, and all the sounds get like really muffled. I thought that was really cool. I'm like,
yeah,
this is like, I mean, this sucks that the Normandy's getting destroyed, but this is really cool.
Yeah, the door opens and all the sound gets muted, and you can tell all the air is being sucked out because there's no place for the air to go except back into space, so quickly disappears. It is a very awesome opening, probably one of the more action-heavy ones. And, Shepard dies, and you're just sitting here like, okay, now what?
Yeah, he falls into, the atmosphere of the planet, and it insinuates that he burns up on entry, which, anyone would in space. And it's like, okay. Now what? How does the series continue if our protagonist just died?
Yeah, I mean, especially too because it makes like a big thing where it's like you could tell, your Shepard is suffocating because the suit's got leaks in it. You can see a little steam leaving it, which is the air. You can just see the pure panic, and then obviously you go fall into orbit, and then you become meat, and you get the whole big montage where you are being brought back to life, which is one of the big things about this game is that this organization called Cerberus, which does make an appearance in the first game as a side mission.
Yeah, their name gets mentioned a couple of times, and there's like I guess one side mission around them, but you have to go out of your way to see or hear that name anywhere. They're kind of like I mean, because they're supposed to be like a secret organization, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of funny how it went from this organization that you like barely hear about to now it's front and center, and it's one of the primary antagonist factions. Well, more so in 3, but yeah, now you're working for them, so it's kind of comes out of nowhere almost. But Shepard's very important, and even after being the herald of the coming Reaper threat, the alliance, or not the alliance, but the Citadel races, just like, oh yeah, no, there's still nothing to worry about. We defeated the Reaper, so or they want to pass it off as just a spaceship, not a Reaper. So they just kind of ignore, Shepard, and he's like, no, this is not over. We still need to prepare. And they're like, no, we're good. So he needs to team up with somebody who will take the threat seriously.
Yeah. On top of that, too, you're being basically funded by this guy called the Elusive Man. And the Elusive Man is Martin Sheen, which is one of the more interesting gets that they get.
Yeah, he did a great job voicing the Elusive Man.
Yeah, he's really good. You could really feel that he actually was having fun doing this line. So here he is here. And he basically just tells you, it's like, yeah, I brought you back because I believe you're humanity's best effort here, Shepard. And I don't care how you do things. I just want to make sure you do the job.
Yeah.
So you could be more antagonistic towards him. You could be more cooperative. But he basically is just, pure, probably trillionaire, multi-trillionaire, some ungodly amounts of resources and money. They don't really put a cap on it. They just basically say, like, you have no idea how much it costs for us to bring you back to life, and not just clone you, but like actually bring you back to life. Because they make a very good point that is just like, we didn't know where to begin.
Yeah, he's got his his tendrils in like everything, so which you would need to in order to have enough money to fund an organization like Cerberus with all of their spaceships and their bases and their robots and their everyone who works for them and stuff. So yeah, it doesn't really go into where all those finances come from, but yeah, he's got his tendrils in everything. So yeah. He spends a lot to bring Shepard back in his original form, for the more or less.
Yeah, so they basically put like biotics and everything else like into him, well, not like genetic stuff to kind of regrow, like flash cloning and replacing organs and stuff like that. The whole breakdown to it is very interesting, and it's well explained. But it's just like, man, you really are putting so much effort into just like bringing this guy back. And in the same breath, you could probably have built like thousands of starships and stuff for the cost of bringing him back. But I guess it was worth it in the end, according to the Elusive Man and Cerberus. Now, I don't know if we talked about Cerberus too much, but Cerberus is kind of like more looked at as like an extremist, human first terrorist group in the first game. And they still kind of do have that reputation throughout this entire game.
Yeah, you do come across some of your squad mates from the first game, and they're like, you're working with them?
Yeah. But I think for sure this one they kind of show that they're in this game they portray them more as like the Punisher,
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like there are people who are like fed up with fighting inside the system, and they just start taking it into their own hands, because you do run into a lot of ex-Alliance officers and even some of your ex-crewmates who just joined up, and they're like, yeah, we're here for Shepard. One last, that's who we're really here. He's our leader, and, fuck the regulations and stuff. And we got Mr. Nerd Takes here. What up, dudes? What's
up, Jay? How's it going, man?
Hope you're having a good night. All right, so let's talk about the crewmates in this game. And we'll start off with the first one. As is tradition in Mass Effect, you get your introduction, and your first crewmates are always going to be humans, and usually the humans are the most boring ones. And if you thought Kaden Alenko was boring, well, they managed to top him in the second
not
game.
in a good way.
And we got Mr. Jacob Taylor. I fucking despise this guy so much.
I know you have a hate boner for him.
I do.
I don't hate him, but yeah, he is a very boring character. Did you team up with him before?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I couldn't remember which one was first, but
yeah, he is the first one. Yes.
Okay. You've played through it probably a lot more times than I have. It's been a long time since I've actually played through Mass Effect 2. I'm looking forward to getting through the series again in the near future, hopefully before the end of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's kind of bland. Kind of. I definitely don't have as strong feelings towards him as you do.
I think I dislike him way more in the third game for different reasons, but his storyline is, I always joke about this, but like this is like the most stereotypical black guy storyline that you could get in this day and age. It's just, my father abandoned me, I have daddy issues, and I'm trying not to be like my dad. It's just it's
very true.
It's literally just like, wow, can you get any more 1990s black guy stereotypes going up in here? That's just what it felt like to me. He's boring. He's not interesting. There's not really anything cool really about him. I don't think he's like a bad character, but it's just like there's not too much to him. Like I said, I think more of my hate for him comes from Mass Effect 3 because they just do so much more dirty to his storyline. But that's for Mass Effect 3. But overall, it's just like Jacob. I think his abilities aren't that great. I think he's like a biotic, but he doesn't have like the cool biotic powers. He has fire ammo as his big support move. So if you upgrade a certain way, he can give you fire ammo. And besides that, boiled chicken has more flavor for this guy. Let's just say that much, right?
Yeah, I don't think after I got more than 2 options for squad mates, I don't think I ever kept him in my squad. So
yeah, let's just say this: the day 1 DLC guy, I believe, was put in there because Jacob was so boring during gameplay that they're like, we gotta give people something else to kind of go along here.
Were they day 1 DLC?
One of them was.
Oh
yeah.
I think you're right.
He was. I remember this very, very fondly because there was a little bit of outrage about it online.
I remember it being a free DLC, but I didn't realize it was day 1.
Yeah, because this was part of that that initiative EA tried to do with the used games, where you had to pay a fee. So a lot of people were very upset about that day 1 character DLC if they bought it used, that they wouldn't get access to that code.
Yeah. That's right, because you needed to in order to like play the game, you had to join, I think it was called like the Cerberus network, and that was what that code was for. I forgot about that.
And that was where you also got the DLC. And remember, there was different DLCs depending on where you pre-ordered it, where you got different weapons. So like GameStop, Best Buy, and I forget there was one more. But if you had to join, and then you got like a special weapon. So the GameStop one was like a dark hole weapon.
That's the one I had.
Yeah, and Best Buy had like a special armor and stuff. I'm gonna look this up right now while we're here.
Okay. I looked up Mass Effect 1 and 2, and I did not do a midnight release for Mass Effect 1. My first achievement was like 8 p.m. the day it launched, so I probably got it after work that day. Mass Effect 2, though, my first achievement was at like 12:51 the day it launched, so I got that one at midnight. Yeah, so the so you want to go ahead and just mention the free DLC characters?
We'll get to them next. Okay. We'll get to them next because we got one more character you meet first, and then
you don't meet the DLC, the free ones till a little bit later. But they were free DLC, and then the paid DLCs were the Overlord, Lair the Shadow Broker, which a lot of people, that's their favorite one in this franchise, and then the Arrival DLC. Was it?
No, there was one more. There was one more. You actually had to pay for Kasumi.
Because the Kasumi one was not free. I could have sworn
No,
that
the heist that's the paid DLC.
I could have swore that was a free one, huh?
Nope.
Okay. I'm trying to find it because the Arrival DLC. I don't remember. I think that one was free. That was released like
That
a
was
while
like the
later
end of life, and that was basically
to lead into Mass Effect 3.
that was like what they're doing with The Witcher 3 right now. Where there
Yes,
was like such
exactly.
it was
Songs
a
of the
DLC
Past
for hypes. Yeah.
for Witcher 3 is basically the Arrival DLC for Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. All right. So this is what it was. So GameStop and EB Games, they got the Terminus gear bundle.
That's the one I have.
Yeah, and that came with the armor and the black hole weapon, and other participating retailers basically got the Inferno armor.
I don't think I have that one.
Yeah, and then there was also they had like the Dragon Age armor too, which I believe
I do have that one.
Yeah, which was a free DLC as well. But in the Legendary Edition now, you can actually get that. They have everything. So if you buy the PS4, Xbox, or PC one of Mass Effect Legendary Edition that has all three of them in there, you get access to all those DLC armors and weapons that you might have missed out back in the day. But yeah, Jacob Taylor.
Yeah, the last page of the instruction manual is like, join the Cerberus network and download this content today.
Here, hold on a second here. You can show that off better now, full screen.
So this page is the graphic novel, which I think I have up there. Yeah, it's right there. But the other page, the last page, is activate your Cerberus network today and connect now and receive this content. So.
Here, actually, let me go grab something real quick. Well, I'll give some more thoughts about Jacob Taylor or something. I actually think I have something special.
Oh, okay. So, man, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot to say about Jacob. He's probably let me look at the full roster here. And I was going to say, I think he's my least favorite character in the Mass Effect 2 roster, and I just like let me look at all of them. And yeah, he's definitely my least favorite, but I don't have any hate towards him or anything. His loyalty mission is interesting, but we'll get into that later. That's one of the cool things about the layout of the game is a lot of the game is you build your squad, and this is the largest squad of any Mass Effect game, and you want to earn all of their loyalties as well, especially if you want them to survive through the suicide mission at the end of the game. Although I don't think you have to have all of their loyalty missions completed in order to save every single one of them, but it definitely helps. His loyalty mission was a little interesing. So what do we got here? Oh, okay. You went and got yours.
So they had a little card.
You have your card still. I don't have my card. I used it and threw it away.
So it came with a little card, and then this is what you got at GameStop with the special code on the back of it and that and everything else right here.
Okay, yeah. So, I don't have that anymore, so I must have thrown those two out. I have the instruction manual, but those I must have tossed.
Yeah, like I said, I bought this one secondary, but yeah, this I got all the original goodies that were with it as well. So just wanted to show those out for people to see them a little bit better.
One other thing I wanted to mention is this, I believe, was my very first 2-disc game where you actually had to switch discs when you got far enough into the game. Although it's kind of interesting, you would think like the first half of the game is on the first disc and the second half of the game is on the second disc. It's more like the first quarter of the game is on disc 1, and then the like 25 to 75% is on disc 2, and then you have to switch back to disc 1 for like the last 25% of the game.
Yeah.
So
and then this is the bonus.
Discs.
Yeah, this was
that's the collector's edition. Okay, what's on? Do you know what's on that on that third disc?
I actually don't know what's on this third disc. I think if it's a making of documentary, I think I want to sit down and that will be a legacy loading episode. Let me check that out here.
Let's say that would probably be a good. My case is snapping. Oh, bummer. All right, well, I won't open it. But yeah, going through some of these, we could do an extra episode on that.
Oh yeah, it is behind the scenes content and a video documentary about the game's creation. So there you go. Future episode right
We
there.
could do an episode, maybe. I don't know how much content there is on them, but I know there's the same thing on the Mass Effect 1 Collector's Edition. Maybe there's the same thing on Mass Effect 3, and we could do an episode on each one of those discs, or maybe one that encompasses all of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my OBS to be reworked because I do have my capture card. So I just need to sit down and hook up like an Xbox 360 or something and just play it straight from that DVD. But I want to make sure that I could get it to work properly because it ain't gonna work properly on through Restream unless I pay the extra price. And I'm not making that much money yet doing this. In fact, it's 0. But yeah, Jacob, his loyalty mission, like I said, is just him confronting his dad. I did think it was interesting though, with the concept of people just eating the food and they start to become more childlike in that.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I thought the stream cut out or something.
No, I was just talking and I was just waiting for you to see if you would respond to it.
Yeah, I was, figured we'd probably get to all the loyalty missions later on as we get through the.
Okay, we could do that. Yeah, we could just do that. It was just a brief introduction of these guys then. So that was Jacob. Not really. Just forgettable and not really well liked for me. But next we go to one of the more favorite characters that you meet right away. So she is the second one, and that is of course Miranda Lawson,
number 1 Mass Effect waifu.
Yeah, a lot of people's favorite number ones over here. And she's also she's a famous actress too, right?
Yes, Yvonne Strahovski, who is also incredibly hot.
Yeah, what was that? Like,
most people would probably know her from Chuck.
That's what I was gonna say. She was the spy in Chuck, right? I've never seen Chuck, but
I haven't either. But I'm going to at some point. Everyone's like, "You haven't seen Chuck? You got to watch it." It's like I will watch it eventually, but that's probably what she's most well known from.
Yeah, so she is basically just a genetic clone. She's built to be the perfect specimen of a woman and everything else like that.
Yeah, not a clone, but genetically modified to be physically and like perfect in basically every way, and I think they got it right.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have a mother. Yeah, I believe she was just genetically made from the DNA of her dad, and then he wanted to basically make a clone of himself as a woman, like the perfect daughter. That's kind of like what her whole backstory is. She's basically like a genetic experimentation from a very rich person, basically, to the long and short of it.
A very conceited, probably. Very self-centered person. The way at least she talks about him seems like he is he has main character syndrome from the way she describes him.
Yeah, it does sound like too that she was kind of like more supposed to be the obedient daughter, the one that's there to look good and just like make her dad look better by just how impressive she is. The woman every man wants and every woman wants to be, basically. Just the stereotype of the rich people. Although there is the funny in-game lore about her where she's not technically perfect because she is sterile. That's one thing that you find out throughout this game.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where even she's trying to find out how she can not be sterile, but unfortunately she is, and that leads to like some very funny Shadow Broker DLC stuff as well. But that's a little bit later. So I don't know. I just find it funny because she's very conceited and everything. Like I believe one of the first lines she says is like, "I'm never wrong, Jacob. You should know this by now."
Yeah, she's very sure of herself. That is for sure.
And even she basically tells you straight up, she's like, "I didn't even really want to bring you back. I don't even know why we even bothered wasting all this money." So she gets like right to the point, which I think a lot of people like her just because of the like she gives off that brash, like, oh, she's got that foreign accent. So she can be more snippy about it. She's not British. She's Australian in real life, right? I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. Because I think so how like when you can tell somebody is a Canadian,
When they say sorry.
When they say sorry, you can tell someone's in Australia when they go "I dear." So
I hear that from British people all the time, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, but I think
like, there's no R at the end; it ends in an A.
But I think Australians do it a lot more.
Okay.
Because like our friend Lethal, when he talks, like you could tell, like it's when they say no, they say no.
I've heard that people make fun of that a lot lately. Nar.
No.
I saw a clip or something on YouTube of a guy asking an Australian woman to say no, and she's like, "Nar." It's like, no, nar. It's like, no, nar.
They can't say no.
It's like,
but there's like one scene in this game where she lets that like accent slip, where she says "I dear," and it's like, you betray yourself. She is from Australia.
Yeah.
I know nothing about this lady except she's in Chuck and Mass Effect and Australian. I don't know how. I know all this stuff.
Her parents are Polish immigrants. Interesting.
That checks out. Polish people are criminals, so of course they would go to Australia. But yeah, Miranda, one of the people's favorite, waifus, as you said, Neo, one of the more popular and attractive. She's not a bad-looking girl. No arguments there at all. She's a blonde in real life though, which I find funny.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny they went with the black hair, but I'm not complaining. I prefer, black-haired girls over anyone else. That's brunettes. my I don't like brunettes as much. My wife is a blonde, but I really don't like blondes, so she's the exception to the rule. I always make that joke. I'm like, yeah, my type is, woman that has really long black hair and glasses, so of course I married a blonde lady. But yeah, she's also kind of a little bit more useful. She's a biotic, so her biotic abilities have a little bit more juice and range to them. And she also is one of the few characters that gets a special third costume DLC. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Are you talking about the black one?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is her. That's her loyalty mission one, I think.
Okay, that's one I always have her wear.
There's another, like, she has like a little like strip, I think, over her face too, of like glasses and stuff. But yeah, the black suit I think is a lot better. It feels more secret agent-y. That's the best way I can say it.
Agreed.
And yeah, there's not really too much to say about Miranda right now, other than she's nicknamed the Cerberus cheerleader. But even then, it doesn't feel like she's super full on committed to like the whole human first kind of cause. It feels like more for her, this is just, the rich girl being rebellious kind of deal,
Yeah, I would agree.
So,
that nickname comes from another character on your squad that you gain later, who they butt heads a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, those are the first two heroes, not heroes, sidekicks that you get. And then afterwards, of course, you have the first mission where you got to go to, it's called Horizon, right?
Let's see here. Yes, Horizon is the end of Act 1.
Yeah, so after you get out of the Cerberus base, because the Cerberus base has kind of been hijacked, there's actually a person that betrays Cerberus and tries to kill Shepard. Because I don't remember if they made it clear, but he made a deal with the bad guys in this game to kind of just sabotage Shepard, if I recall.
Yeah, isn't that like in the opening level? Don't you find out who that is, and then Miranda executes him right there in front of you?
Yeah, I think it was. Ironically enough, he was voiced by Steve Blum as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember that guy's name. I'm trying to see if I can find this guy.
I can look if you wanted to.
I'm trying to remember. I got a list of these people on here.
I did a quick Google search and I got Wilson.
Wilson, yeah, that's it.
Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, that's once I see a picture of him, like, yep, that's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, so Wilson kind of betrays you, and that's the funny part is that's when we meet up with Miranda. He's like trying to get him out of the station. He's like, "Oh, Miranda, I thought you were." And she just guns him down.
Yeah,
she's like dead. I think that's also why people call this Expendables in space because of the snappy one-liners that a lot of these people just throw off for no reason. It just doesn't feel normal.
You were correct. He was voiced by Steve Blum, which I did not realize.
How could you not realize it though?
I didn't know Steve Blum until Mass Effect 2. That was my introduction to him as a voice actor.
Oh man, I don't really. You never watched Cowboy Bebop or anything growing up?
I never had, because that was like Cartoon Network, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never had cable or anything, so I didn't really ever see anything on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. I only saw what came over the airwaves, essentially.
Steve Blum's been in so much stuff. I figured that you would have at least known about him at least one time or another.
No, if I did hear his voice, I didn't know who it was. It was Mass Effect 2, that put him on the map for me.
Yeah.
And then digging into him, I see his voice and all this other stuff that I've played since. But I don't know if I'd have to go back and look at it. It's been a long time since I've looked at his his list of work.
Yeah, IMDb.
Go through his IMDb and see if there's stuff before Mass Effect 2 that I saw or heard him in.
I don't know, he was in a Wolverine cartoon in the early 2000s as well.
Okay.
I can't remember all of it on top of my head. Him and Mark Hamill and Tim Curry, they were in so much stuff growing up.
You heard about Tim Curry, right?
Of course, I was very devastated about that one. It was like Dolly Parton yesterday, Tim Curry today.
R.I.P. to both of them.
My wife texted me. She's like, "Oh, Dolly Parton passed away yesterday," and then I was like, "Oh, Tim Curry passed away today." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're just sharing bad news, I guess."
Yeah,
but
I do know that he voiced Wolverine in Web of Shadows because I just played that last year for the first time. But I think he is known as voicing Wolverine in a number of different mediums, not just video games.
Yeah.
But he has quite a long list of work.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. Yeah. If we sat down and just went through his list, it'd probably be a mile long.
I just pulled him up on IMDb, and at the top of their work, it has a list of number of things he's worked on. It says 870. Jeez.
Yeah. We got Shaka Zulu over here. Mark Hamill is one of my favorite voice actors, even though he's a piece of shit. That is true.
Hey, what's up, Shock? Yeah, he's a great voice actor, but yeah, in real life, he's a
wonky duck for sure.
I didn't just randomly scrolling through his IMDb. Steve also voiced Sauron in the Shadow of Mordor. Did not realize.
I actually knew that. Yeah, that was a relatively recent fact. It's kind of weird how that always works out. There's like this random fact they'll pick up, and then you just use it like a few hours later. It's like, how does this fit in? Yeah. All right, so the first DLC character that we get, as we just mentioned, and this guy was the big reason to try. Well, he was put in there 100% to try to curtail used game buying. That's what I 100% believe, and I think everyone agrees with me. But that is
you got him. Did they release him as a paid, or was the only way to get him through the Cerberus network?
Well, he was only through the Cerberus network. Yes.
Okay.
So
if you would have gotten Cerberus network if you bought the game new, but if you didn't buy it new, then I think it was $10 to buy the license or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So
same thing with Mass Effect 3, I think.
Yeah, so he was the DLC character that you basically got for free day one.
Zaid.
And you get him on Omega, and that is, of course, Zaid Musani.
Space Clint Eastwood.
Space grumpy old mercenary has been. Yeah, what did you think about Zaid? Because the first introduction you get is he's just shaking, like beating the crap out of this Batarian. And then the Batarian tries to run away, he just shoots him dead.
Yeah, I do know that he is kind of a fan favorite. I don't dislike him. It's just I don't like him as much as like everyone else does. I do think that his I'm too cool for everything definitely works in his favor. It's like I get the job done. No gimmicks or anything. He's very to the point. But yeah, the one thing that was really weird is I don't know if it's like some sort of like modification or anything, or whether it's just natural, but his eyes being different colors was very odd.
Well, he's a gruff, guy. So basically, Zaid also kind of has so many war scars, so many war stories of being a mercenary. I think
Lots of interesting stories. Yes.
I think the reason why he's gaining his revenge is because he was betrayed by the guy that you're trying to hunt down for his loyalty mission. And
Yeah,
I think
that's his loyalty mission.
I think that's why his one eye is kind of messed up, because I think it is a cybernetic implant or something like that too, if I recall correctly.
It would make sense.
Yeah, Zaid is definitely, a breath of fresh air to have as your secondary companion from that piece of wood known as Jacob.
Yeah, I want to say that the first time I played through the game, I don't think I had him, and I don't think I got him until my second playthrough. But maybe that's just my mind misremembering.
You could have just ran past him. That's also a problem. Or you didn't activate the code properly. I don't know, but you can't really miss him.
I was gonna say you can't really miss him because I think as soon as you go to Omega, he's in the airlock essentially. So you can't get into Omega without encountering his cutscene that introduces you to him.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. He's just overall just a fun kind of gruff character. You go down into his little area and he just tells you war stories about everything that has happened in his life. I think people like him because the voice actor did a really good job. I forget who he was, but he passed away too. So unfortunately, he's no longer with us. And then just overall, I like his combat. He has the flame grenades, which I think are infinitely more useful, especially on legendary or insanity difficulty as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried a couple attempts at insanity difficulty. I think the first time I tried it was I tried an infiltrator, and I was like, this is not working out, because I thought because I like playing up close and personal with a Vanguard. But I was like, I'm going to get torn to shreds on insanity. So I was like, maybe if I sit back and, make myself less of a target by sniping, it'll be easier. It's like, nope. And I think the first attempt I made was with the character I played through all three games. The first character was Adept. And I was like, this is not working. So I was like, maybe I'll try Vanguard. And that wasn't working. So the second time I tried was Infiltrator. And that wasn't working. And then when I finally switched to Soldier, that's the one I actually made it all the way through Insanity with. Because
Soldier is the best one, especially the Adrenaline Rush.
Yes.
The Adrenaline Rush is such a useful ability, plus the ability to also use every weapon type, because the saving grace is the Black Widow. And that's almost a must if you're going to try to beat Insanity, which is to have that overpowered, sniper rifle at your disposal.
Yeah, and I don't remember how far into the game you have to go to get the Black Widow.
I think I just did New Game Plus and then cranked up the difficulty. That's really what I did.
Yeah, that's right. You could carry over your stuff from the previous one to New Game Plus. I did do that. I forgot that you could do that.
And then Shaka Zulu says, Infiltrator is best class in ME2. Oh.
That's my least favorite class. But I'm not going to say it's bad. It's just my least favorite.
I was more partial to the Vanguard. I thought the Vanguard was more fun to play. But yeah, Soldier's best class on the highest difficulty. I tried attempting it with Engineer, and I made it to the Collector ship, and I was just constantly getting mowed down in this one section, and I'm like, fuck it, I quit. I'm gonna retry this again with a different class. So yeah, but Zaid, definitely a more interesting character for sure.
Let's see here. There he is. Robin Sachs was the voice actor who, passed away in 2013 at only age 61.
Did he have cancer or something, or was it just a different type of disease?
Heart failure.
Ooh, yeah, that'll do it.
He was the bad guy in Galaxy Quest. He was Ceres.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now I know where he was from.
Good movie.
Yeah. 1 second, I gotta ask my wife. Do you want to move on though to the Omega allies we get, or do we want to go to the second DLC character?
I would say the rest of the squad that you would get through, normal play.
All right, we'll do that. And we'll start with the first new character because we actually do have one returning character that we get here. So on Omega, obviously we go there, we talk to Arya, and Arya basically tells you the one rule of Omega, and that is don't fuck with her.
Yeah. Voiced
Simple, easy.
by Trinity from The Matrix. Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Vanguard is fun, but you risk dying. Infiltrator, you bait your teammates, and Sniper, it's great to grab.
Yeah, no, it's a Vanguard is much more high risk, high reward, for sure.
Yeah. So as I was saying, so you talk to Arya, and then you basically ask her for dossiers on 2 of your potential crewmates.
That's right, because when you are talking with the Elusive Man, he gives you a list of like potential teammates, and you kind of go and track them down. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So yeah, the Elusive Man, he gives you a bunch of dossiers, and we kind of skipped over the mission, but we'll come back around to that. So so you got the scientist, and she tells you about Mordin Solus, and he's a Solarian. And then after that, you got the other one, which is a rogue mercenary called Archangel. And Archangel has managed to piss off all the gangs on Omega, and it's kind of glorious. But we're going to start off with Mordin first as well. And we've got Nosferatu joining us saying, how would you compare ME2 to Playboy Mansion game, Carl and Neo? Well, this is way better than a Playboy Mansion game.
I've never played it, so I wouldn't know.
No. So we get our first alien crew member over here too, depending on where it is. You're going to get an alien regardless. And then, of course, is Mordin Solus. Mordin Solus is obviously a Solarian scientist, and he's basically a very old, former Black Ops military guy, but he has done a lot in the world of Mass Effect. He goes over his resume of doing theater and scientist work and, stealth ops and everything else like that.
Quite an extensive resume.
Yes. More than as we talked about before, the Solarians, they're kind of like a race of, aliens that are just very hyper aggressive. They grow up fast. They dive really fast. They talk and they have crazy mannerisms. They have like Mexican names, as I like to joke about it, where it's like, they're super long and over the top, and they just talk about where they're born, the city they're in, their clan they're from. It's just funny like that. Obviously, Mordin, definitely easily 10 out of 10, one of my fan favorites.
Yeah, he's usually in the contention for top favorite Mass Effect characters. Looking at the list of other squad mates, he's definitely my top 3.
Yeah,
for Mass Effect 2, I would compare across all 3 games or all 4 games, because we did rank them all. I don't know, but in Mass Effect 3, he's definitely in top 3.
Yeah, just in Mass Effect overall, he just is one of the. He's seriously, the best way to say it is like he's your autistic best friend. He just can't pick up on social cues, but he can work out the social cues pretty quickly, and then realize that, oh, maybe I should pick up on the social cues a little bit better.
He's Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, except he's more aware. One of the things that I love, as Shock also brings up here, he helps you have sex with Garrus.
I'm assuming you mean if you're playing as FemShep.
So basically, the funny thing about this, obviously, is that you get romance advice from the Mass Effect games, and like you can have romance. Let me say that you can have the sex like you could in the first game, and this one obviously opens it up more for interspecies sexuality in this one, and it's just very fun to tell for Mordin to basically tell you like, hey, just be aware of all these different side effects from interspecies relationships. But he's also known for the what's I forget the play.
Yeah,
I am the very model of a scientist Solarian, but I know like it's based off of another play in like real life. I've seen it before. It's a British play, but I can't remember what the the name of it is.
I will find out. Because the way they talked about it in the game, it almost seemed like, wait, is this something they made up for the game, or is this based off something that actually exists, in our real life? And
no, it is based off something in our.
That was life. The feeling that I got.
Yeah, because I've seen it before. I think it's about it's like a British play about a British soldier. I think it is, but I think what they were they made it for him to kind of have his own like little pratter dance of that version of it, if I recall correctly. I can't remember.
Major General's song or Modern Major General from the 1879 Gilbert and Sullivan comic opera, The Pirates of Penzance.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. And that's basically what it's based off of. If you watch that and then you watch Morden's one, it has the same cadence and everything else like that.
I'll go check that out.
They make a lot of jokes in this thing, like an old Elcor reading of Shakespeare's Hamlet is one of the jokes that they kind of have in here. So I think it's all the devs. They were just having fun. Like I said, the reason why I think a lot of people call it Expendables in Space is just because of the one-liners and the weird humor that they added in here as well. But Morden's a great guy. One of the guys I always love to bring with me on here is because he has ice and fire combos. So if you're playing an Insanity run, Morden is just basically a must-have on your team.
I don't remember who I took with me on my Insanity run, but it probably was Morden. But it's been a long time since I played Mass Effect 2 on Insanity. I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah. The different dialogue with him on what you did with the Genophage.
Genophage.
Yes. One of the coolest parts of ME3.
What? WON. ONE.
Yeah, it happens. That stuff happens real quick here.
But yeah, the fact that I don't remember if the fact that he worked on it, is that mentioned at all in 2, or do we not find that about that until 3?
I'm sorry, what did you say? My wife was talking.
The fact that Morden worked on the Genophage.
Oh no,
that in 2, or did we not find out about that?
No, that's really in 2. In fact, that's part of his loyalty mission. Don't you remember that?
Apparently I don't.
Apparently you don't, and I'm kind of shocked by that one. It's a very big part of that one. But yeah, no, Morden, overall great character. We'll talk more about him later as well. And of course, we do mention it. Archangel, one of the cooler missions there. Obviously, you got to infiltrate a gang. And you got to go. You're trying to take down the Archangel and that, and you got all 3 of the big gangs there. It's like the Eclipse, the Blue Suns, and the Blood Pack. All 3 of the.
I was like, I remember Eclipse and Blue Suns. I couldn't remember the third one's name.
Yeah, so all the big major gangs on this little citadel. So you basically fight your way to him, and lo and behold, it is our homeboy Garrus, who turns out to be Archangel. And one of the cool, like, just nonchalant, like, that's the moment back here. We got a familiar face, baby, and we're back in business. And then, of course, we see Garrus here, and this is a more gruff Garrus with more experience under his belt. Also disillusioned by the whole system of taking down people within the system. So he goes off and just becomes a vigilante, the best way to say it.
Yeah, after Mass Effect, I think he kind of gives you the backstory of what happened to him between Mass Effects 1 and 2. And I think he try to go back to CSEC, and he's like, I just can't deal with all this red tape. And he went out on his own. He's like, I'll take out criminals on Omega. And so through this mission, the 3 gangs are basically working together to try to take him down, and he's kind of like holed up in this one area across this bridge. And as you're it's like you're trying to go recruit him, although you don't know who he is yet. You just know he's Archangel. And you there's a couple different things you can do to sabotage the gangs on your way to him. And once you finally make it across and meet up with him, I remember I was like, holy crap, it's Garrus. Oh my God. That was quite the awesome surprise for someone I was not expecting him to make a return in this game. So
yeah, even your Shepard's like, Garrus, my friend, it's good to see you.
Yeah, and he knows it's you when you're making your way across, but you don't know it's him. So you're trying not to get shot. But he's not actually shooting. He's shooting at everyone around you.
Yeah.
And then you fear once you come to come face to face with him, you realize, oh, that's why you weren't shooting at me.
Yeah, exactly. So Garrus, of course, comes back. If you don't know about Garrus too much, brief summary: former C-Sect officer, OG crew member, helps you take down Saren. Super fan favorite. I think Garrus is definitely, a lot of people's best boy in the series for sure.
Yeah, not only is he probably most people's favorite in the franchise, when you talk about like favorite like sidekicks in video gaming, he's usually up there as one of the top mentions.
Yeah, people love when his voice actor pops up because he has a very distinct voice, and I don't think he's trying too hard to change his range. It's like, that's the Garrus voice actor. That's all he will forever be known as.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is. I'll have to look him up. But I remember I was playing another game and a character showed up, and I was like, God, that voice sounds so familiar. And I paused the game. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, and then a couple minutes, I'm like, that's Garrus. And it was in the Walking Dead Telltale games. He shows up in season 3 as a character. They call him Jesus because he looks like Jesus. I don't remember what the character's actual name is, but everyone calls him Jesus, and it was voiced by Garrus's voice actor.
Oh, okay, I forgot about that. I remember him in Fallout 4, and he was just in Avowed.
I haven't played Fallout 4 or Avowed yet, but I do know that he was in Avowed. I did not realize he was in Fallout 4.
He was like a random NPC in Fallout 4, though. I think they just brought him in as like a cameo.
Okay.
Like,
when I get around to playing it, I'll be like, hey, that's Garrus. Brandon Keener is the actor's name.
Brandon Keener. Okay.
Apparently he's done some live action acting as well, just nothing that I've ever seen.
Alrighty. And then a couple more people to round out here. We'll get the second DLC character out of the way, because you can get her once you reach the Citadel. That is, of course, the thief herself, Kasumi Goto, and this was the second DLC character and the one that you had to pay for the heist missions. And this is a very interesting character. What did you think about Kasumi?
I've never there's no characters that I dislike. It's just, for me, I never really found her that interesting. She kind of felt like an afterthought. The fact that she wasn't in the game at the beginning kind of solidifies that.
Yeah,
she's all right, and her cloaking ability is cool and handy, especially for I think it was her loyalty mission where you have to infiltrate the party, right?
Right. Yes.
So some cool abilities, but as a character, I just never found her that interesting.
I feel like I know who her voice actress is, because I feel like I've heard her before, but I can't quite put my thumb on her. So what I know about her is that she's like a witty character. I'm going to say this. She kind of reminds me of like what a lot of people hate about Awkwafina.
Okay.
To be honest, if like she was more tolerable now, and then Awkwafina made her more annoying. And if they ever did a recast of her, I could see them just casting Awkwafina to be her.
Yeah, I definitely I get it. I think that I don't find Kasumi annoying at all, like Awkwafina.
Yeah, she's more of a trickster. Like, I feel like her trickster personality shows up a lot more in Mass Effect 3 than it does in 2. But I think she's just kind of always cloaking, trying to steal things, and she's the only big fan of Jacob. That's what else we also know about her too. She's like, Jacob around, and I'm like, well, somebody's always got a type, I guess.
Wow, I had to scroll almost all the way down to the list of characters in Mass Effect 2 to find her voice actor, Kim Hoy. And she does not have a very extensive resume. Only like 23 items on here.
Yeah, what else has she done?
She was in an episode of Scrubs. Oh, she was in 25 episodes of General Hospital. And then the other two things she's known for is Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3.
So there you go. Mass Effect was her big break. Which, what's kind of funny? I didn't know that the girl from The Boys was in Suicide Squad. The Japanese girl from The Boys.
I've not seen The Boys, so I don't know who you're talking about.
Kimiko is her name in The Boys, but she's also in Suicide Squad as the sword-wielding samurai girl.
Okay, I remember. I did see Suicide Squad, so I remember that character. But I just don't remember who the actor was.
I just never put two and two together. It just kind of caught me off guard one day. I'm like, really? Is that true?
Okay, I was like, I don't know what that has to do with anything we're talking about, but okay, Karen Fukuhara.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, Katana, and Kumiko in The Boys. So
yeah, so I will say I like her design. Obviously, I think
I could definitely see her playing Kasumi in a live action for sure.
I think for her, like, I'm trying to say, her design inspired a Cerberus class, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah. Oh, in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, the N7 Shadow is basically based on her.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but yeah, she's all right. I think out of all the characters, like you said, she's kind of just slapped together last minute. I think they wanted to try to have like, okay, well, if we put like a thief in here, and they tried to put some like a fun little side story with her, but overall, she's just a DLC character, not super flushed out. Could have been better, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and she had what kind of like a love story with what was his name?
It's her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So like that's the whole premise of her loyalty mission. Was KG.
KG, yes, that's right.
Yes. Yeah, she had a whole big love story. Was like the part of her DLC mission, and yeah, we will get more to that one once we hit that as well. All right. I'm trying to remember here. After that, you got a couple more options, and that was for the Warlord and the Assassin, if I recall correctly, right?
The list that I'm looking at is the Convict and the Warlord.
Oh, the Convict. Sorry, I forgot about her. So, which one do you want to do first, the Convict or the Warlord?
I'm preferable to the Warlord, but
all right, let's do the Warlord first then. So originally, this character for this mission, you were going to actually recruit somebody else. It was a different Krogan.
Yeah, it was Okeer, right?
Oh yeah, Warlord Okeer. But what happened was Warlord Okeer was kind of under siege by a bunch of mercenaries and stuff like that. So he wanted to save what he called his perfect grunt. And this was, of course, how he gets his name Grunt later on. But after you do a whole rigmarole thing, Warlord Okeer dies, and you get one giant tank that holds our boy here, and you take it with you on your ship. And then after you activate it, you basically get yourself a good old boy named Grunt. And Grunt is probably up there with Rex as one of the favorite. Basically, Krogans, you can't go wrong with having a Krogan for a good time.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this on our first one. Not that I dislike Rex, but I like Grunt even more than I like Rex. He's definitely my favorite Krogan and arguably my favorite Mass Effect 2 squad mate. I love Grunt so much. And yeah, so I think Okeer, he was also a scientist. Hence, he was doing these experiments and I don't know if he was trying to like cure the genophage, but I think he was trying to figure out some way to increase Krogan numbers.
Yeah.
And he created basically what he called like the perfect specimen, and that was Grunt, the perfect Krogan. And I can't disagree with him. Grunt is great, and he's very aggressive right out of the tank.
Yes,
go ahead.
In fact, he charges you right away when you open the tank.
Yeah, first thing he pins you against the wall. And makes a couple observations, but all the while Shepard has his gun pointed right at his gut. But because he's tank grown and he's not natural birth, some of the other Krogans kind of look down on him. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, the tank-born Krogans, they say, has a weird, unnatural, smell to them. That's why they don't really like them too much. And obviously, even though they want to cure the genophage, they don't want to do it by, just breeding bred through a tank or something. They want to naturally reproduce again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like how we talked about in the first one about Astaris and how they veer purebreds, as they
Right.
say. The Krogan kind of have the same, there's a stigma attached to these people that these Krogan that are bred to be tank born. And on top of that too, they're born usually like they're kind of flash cloned. So they don't get to go through a whole bunch of stages. In fact, Grunt here is actually considered a very young Krogan, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, so his loyalty mission is basically going through Krogan adolescence and proving himself and becoming actually part of the clan. So his loyalty mission is one of my favorite.
Yeah, like Grunt for sure. It definitely has one of the more fun introductions. Like especially when he slams Shepard against the wall and he's like, "Human male or human female? Who am I? Who are you?" And he's like, What are you?" He's like, "I'm Commander Shepard." He's like, "No, not you, me."
Makes me think of Monty Python. What is your quest?
But
yeah.
But yeah, so and Grunt kind of just goes with it, and he's like, "Grunt, I like that. That name suits me." The thing though is that we're talking about the Okeer mission, and we kind of bring it up a little bit. That whole mission is also a bunch of Krogan mercenaries, and they're all tank bred mercenaries, and they all basically have toddler intelligence levels too.
Yeah.
So Grunt in particular, he's kind of a little bit of a cut above the rest because he was bred to be more smart and more of a better clone. Because he was made up of a lot of different DNA lines of a lot of the more high prestigious Krogan lines as well. So that's kind of why Okeer wanted to really save him, because this was the ultimate experiment was him.
And remind me, because Okeer dies and he's like, he basically passes Grunt off to you because he wants to see his work fulfilled. What was it that killed him? Did he kill himself with his gas?
It was like a gas leak. Yeah, that's what happened.
Was it a self-defense thing in order to protect his lab from outsiders, or was it accidental?
I think it was an accidental thing that triggered. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was trying to save Grunt. So when he was trying to save Grunt, he basically had to go in there and manual override everything. And because he was doing all that stuff, he basically died from the gas leaks.
And I was another thing that always impressed me is just like how detailed his character model is in game.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the ripples in his skin. I was like, I can't believe that the 360 can look this good.
Yeah, it was definitely a generational one, that's for sure. It was such a massive leap from the first game, for sure. Mm-hmm. In terms of face models and how they actually played out and everything else like that. I like you said, there's just those awe-inspired moments. And one thing that we haven't really talked about too was just how the first Mass Effect game was so much, I would say, cleaner feeling.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
And the second Mass Effect game felt so much more gritty, darker, lived in. Just it is one of my favorite reasons why I love Mass Effect 2 is just that it has such a different feel for the galaxy, where everything feels neat and pristine in the first game versus the second one. It feels, one of the things of why people like Star Wars more than Star Trek is basically how Star Wars feels more lived in.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a great analogy, because I was gonna say, Mass Effect 1, you spend a lot of time on the Citadel where everything is perfect and clean, and in this one you're spending all your time in Omega, which is kind of like the seedy underbelly of the galaxy, like Jabba's palace sort of thing. And similar with Star Wars and Star Trek. The Omega is basically the Mos Eisley Cantina of Mass Effect.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
And speaking of scum and villainy, you get to go to a place called Purgatory, and that's where we introduce the psychopath, and that is, of course, Jack. Now, I had to use this image because there's other images of her I think are a little bit more risque, so I wanted to play it a
She
little
doesn't
bit
wear a
safer.
whole lot.
She basically wears pasties and, like, you know,
Some leather straps and tattoos
straps.
are her clothes.
Yeah, basically. That's the thing about Jack. She is I think in a lot of ways people would say an abuse victim, to put it more bluntly out
She
there.
definitely has abuse victim tendencies and has some like daddy issues with Cerberus. And that's her loyalty mission, is getting revenge for that.
Yeah. So basically, Jack is a super gifted biotic who is part of an experimental program. And after she murdered her way out of that experimental program, has basically spent the entire, her entire adult life just basically being like the bad girl that you can think of, doing all sorts of drugs, falling for, bad boys, going around committing crimes, constantly getting tattoos and stuff, just constantly looking to numb the pain, I guess you could say.
And she's a very powerful biotic.
Incredibly powerful biotic. One of the, best biotics you can have in this game overall is definitely Jack. And there's not really much else to really say right now about her other than she's just a force of nature. The entire first mission for you to get her is just her absolutely fucking up this prison just to get out of there.
Yeah, Purgatory is a space prison, and you're there to bust her out. Although it's almost like she's busting herself out, and you're kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, basically, it's a giant space prison that just absolutely will lock up anybody for money, and will do anything for money.
Not so above the board tendencies. Kind of reminds me of Shawshank in space.
Yeah, a little bit worse than that.
A little bit worse.
Yeah, you get to talk to a prisoner on there, and he's like, they take everything from you, your money, your food, your pride, which is just to imply space rape.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say it. Space prison rape. But yeah, the whole reason why this also kicks off too, as well, is because they try to sell Shepard. That's another big thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they lock you in the room, and that's where things start going downhill.
Yeah, there's one of the best renegade lines that come from there, because they're like, you gotta relinquish your weapons, and he's like, I'll relinquish one bullet. Where do you want it?
Yes, that's a great line.
It's a great line. Like I said, Renegade Shepard is a one-liner machine. There's just so many great one-liners from there. It's just like, you're working too hard, and he stabs the Batarian in the back of the machine. It's just like, oh my goodness. No offense to Jennifer Hale.
Are you talking about the one you were just referencing? That's on the Archangel mission.
Yeah,
right?
it's on the Archangel one.
Yeah.
But like, no offense to Jennifer Hale. She's a legendary voice actress. She's been in everything too. But Mark, you could just tell he loved just playing Commander Shepard. That's what it felt like at the end of the day. I kind of want to pull up some of these right now. I don't know if you've seen them. Yeah.
I probably have, because I've played through it Renegade, and I played through everything Paragon for. Well, let's see here. How I usually do is my first playthrough, I kind of play through how I would answer the questions or the dialogue choices that I would personally make, and then the second time I'll play through and I'll go Paragon every single time, no matter what, and then third time I'll play through it and I'll do Renegade every single time, no matter what. And doing the Renegade only playthroughs are very difficult because you get put in some very precarious situations. It's like, I feel like a horrible person, but I'm committed to being the the bad guy or the anti-hero, essentially. It makes for some great one-liners for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them real quick here if I can find them. There's a bunch. There was this one compilation I used to always watch when I had to show my friends.
Oh, like a YouTube video?
Yeah.
But while you're looking for that, Courtney Taylor is the voice actor for Jack. And she's been in some other stuff. She was in Destiny 2. She's in X-Men 97 and a few episodes of American Dad. Although I think, it looks like she was in The Old Republic, but I don't know if I've ever actually like recognized her voice in anything else. But I have been scrolling through other things on IMDb, and I saw her picture. I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that. I think that's the girl who voiced Jack. And I click on her name, and I'm like, I was right. It was her.
Yeah. I just want to share this one here because this was from, I believe, the Morden loyalty mission here.
Okay.
Well, I share this stuff. Share this tab. There you go. Well, this is what I mean for people who don't know.
Now,
it's the random one-liners.
Cure the Genophage. Warlock Gold will rule all Krogan. The Krogan rebellion.
You talk too much.
See, the human cannot hit a simple target.
It's just, I love these so much.
Oh, I don't remember ever doing that one.
No, I don't remember any of these ones. These are great. I'm trying to see if I can find the one.
Krogan on fire. That's brutal.
I wish I could find the one.
Was that the Volus who thinks he's a biotic god?
I think so, yeah. Oh yeah, this one was a great one for Renegade, I think too. I think we could play this one real quick.
If it'll load.
Yeah, it's always a problem.
Being a pain with that. Like last night when I was trying to pull up our clips while we were talking about stuff. All right.
Won't shoot you.
You will regret your scandalous words. I am a great wind that will sweep all before me like a great wind. A great biotic
I love
wind.
this so much.
Yes, the Asari injecting so many drugs into me was terrifying. But then I began to smell my greatness.
Miftu Cal.
They may laugh when I fall over, but they don't know what I know in my head. That I know that I am amazingly powerful.
Yeah, the person who did this did a horrible job clipping.
Hear me?
Are you part of Pitney Forest Trade Group?
Let's take it too long. But yeah, Jack. Overall, great character.
I liked her character development in Mass Effect 3 a lot.
Her character development in Mass Effect 2 is great. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit more as we go along here. I just want to get through a couple of these characters because we've been kind of tailing a little long here because this whole game has the most companions out of every Mass Effect game.
12.
Yeah. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're like half.
We got 4 more left to go on this one. Because we did Kasumi, Zaid, Jacob, Miranda, Garrus, Grunt, and Jack, and I said Miranda, right?
Yeah.
Miranda and Morden. So we have 1, 2, Legion. Yeah, 4 more to go, I would say.
Yep.
So how about this? How about we go with kind of another fan favorite and who I always consider to be the waifu for me, and that is, of course, Tali Zora Vasnaraya.
You want to do because she gets introduced at the beginning of Act 2. Did you want to wrap up Act 1?
Nah, I think let's just get through some of these guys right now.
Sounds good. So yeah, I know you're a big fan of Tali. Not that I don't like her. I think she. Well, that's the thing. I didn't realize until we did the first one. I could have sworn I romanced her in Mass Effect 1, but she's not a romance option in Mass Effect 1.
Nope. She is a young, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed teenage girl on her adventure. And then now she is
pilgrimage.
Now she is a more established, assertive young woman in the second one, trying to do proud for her family and her fleet. In fact, you run into her on the very first mission of Horizon, where she's trying to track down a very scared Quarian who was trying to help this human colony. But because he was not part of the humans, he was able to survive and everything else like that. Tali best girl from, a lot of people's perspectives, one of the original OGs, and it's good to see her come back in this game for sure. So we'll get more into her stuff later because she does have a lot of character growth in this one. And if we want to get to another best boy here, we get our first introduction too.
Real quickly, she is also next to Garrus, the only other one who is a squad mate in all 3 games.
That is true. Because technically, we'll save that for later. But next up, we got our first new alien race as well, and he's also the member of your squad. And on top of that, too, he was used into promotion, and that, of course, is the assassin himself, Mr. Thane.
Thane Krios.
Yes. Now, Thane is
I just blanked on his species.
He's a Drell.
Drell, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put the Keldor popped in my head. That's a Star Wars race, not a Mass Effect race.
Yeah.
Yes, Thane, the Drell. Should have remembered that because the Drell infiltrator is my second favorite infiltrator in the multiplayer. That is, and yeah, it's based on Thane. So I named my Drell infiltrator in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I named him Thane, of course.
Yeah. So the Drell are a very interesting species. So we'll kind of talk about that now because they do introduce a few new species as well, but not that many. But the Drell were originally, they're kind of like a reptile people, more of an arid planet is where they came from. But through not taking care of their planet, they were kind of forced out of it. And they were saved by the Hanar. And the Hanar, of course, the big jellyfish creatures from the first game, have a very aquatic planet. So even though they were trying to do a bunch of good by the Drell, unfortunately, the Drell could not fully adapt to their environment. So they developed a new illness called Katmai syndrome.
Okay, I remember he has. Wait, wasn't it Kepler syndrome?
I thought it was Katmai syndrome. Could be Kepler syndrome.
I thought I remember Kepler syndrome being a thing, but maybe that's something else. But I remember that being in Mass Effect.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
I'll look it up right now while you talk.
Oh. So yeah, he gets introduced early in Act 2, and it's an interesting mission because it's kind of similar to your Archangel mission because you're tracking him down while he's in the middle of his own objective. And similar with this one, you're basically scaling the skyscraper. I don't remember what planet you're on, but it's a very populated planet. And he is on a mission to take out a target, and you're kind of tracking him down, not to stop him, but you end up catching up with him right as he's completing his objective, and you're kind of just like there watching him and not interfering, and you recruit him into your squad.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me though, because like Tali, pretty easy to get on your squad since you already have a rapport with her. She helped you in the first game, but this one, like the first time you're meeting him,
you basically have to meet him at the top of a race to assassinate his target.
Yeah, and what is it that kind of convinces him to join your squad? Like Grunt, it's like, hey, if you work with me, I'll give you lots of targets that you can kill, and he just wants to go out and kill stuff. But
he's terminally ill, basically. He's trying to make amends for everything.
That's right.
And he just does it because he's like, I'm dying anyway, so what do I have to lose? And it's Kep Arls, similar. It's like, it's weird how it spells, like Kepral.
Okay.
So I think we're both kind of on the same path. It's just
we both got it a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
But Thane kind of gives me a like a Native American feel because like he kills people, but not because he wants to or he gets any joy out of it. It's just because that's what he's good at. But usually every time he kills someone, he does he honors them and does a prayer for them, which kind of similar thing with Native Americans, and they don't kill animals. They only kill what they need to in order to survive, but they still have a great reverence for animals and wildlife and stuff. Kind of gives me a similar vibe for that.
See, the thing with him though is that he kind of reminds me of, because he is basically bred up to be an assassin for the Drell. It feels like there's like a religious aspect of it. Sorry, for the Hanar. Sorry, but he's kind of like, it's almost like a fanatical religious side of it. It feels like he's almost part of like the Assassin's Creed order. That's the best way I could say for him. I don't really
Okay.
get Native American vibes to him. I just get more of you know, just I'm brought up in the Shadow Order and I've just been killing my whole life, and that's all I know what to do is just kill. It's my only good skill. It kind of just feels like he has that John Wick storyline where it's like, yeah, or the Punisher storyline a little bit where he's like, yeah, I got out of the game. I tried to have a family and they murdered my wife and now I'm back in,
I know we have his son because that's his loyalty mission.
Kolyat,
Kolyat. Did they tell us about Kolyat's mother?
So the one thing about Drell is they have the curse of perfect memory.
Oh, that's right. They have eidetic memory and things that they have. There's a term for that when you touch something and remember things that happened with it.
I kind of go with photographic memory.
But yeah, they recall things in like perfect detail. I forgot about that.
So Thane will go off on these tangents sometimes where he'll talk about like, I'm staring at the target. The smell of like lilac is in the air. The sun is setting. She steps in front of the gun. How dare you? So basically, they talk about how Thane met his wife and basically how she stopped him from shooting someone and was very defiant and was like willing to die. And it was like so intriguing to him. They had to get to know this lady, So like that, they do talk about his former life and everything else like that. It's one of the more interesting breakdowns of a character because, we talk about the Elcor. I was like, I just said them earlier, where they have to talk like HK-47, where they have to go like statement, and like give a big breakdown of what they're trying to talk about. Whereas Thane is just like, he can just lose himself very quickly inside of a memory and just repeat it in this, almost dogmatic detail. And it's not just him, it's all Drells seem to have this memory because you run into other Drells too, where they can relive the torture that they go through like in perfect detail. And it's their form. It's like PTSD on steroids though.
Yeah. Cause it's not like they're like remembering it. It's like they are reliving it at the moment that they're, when they go into these episodes, if you want to call them that, they're basically reliving whatever was happening at that moment.
Yeah. Thane is a very interesting character for sure. All right. Next up, we got the only Asari that you get in this game, and she is an interesting type of Asari. She's also Billie Eilish's mother. And that is, of course, Samara.
Wait, the voice actress is Billie Eilish's mom?
Yeah.
Didn't know
that. I didn't know that either. I just found out a few years ago.
But
now,
I barely know who Billie Eilish is, but I know that she's popular.
Yeah. So now Samara can either be this or you can be Morinth too. And the reason why
that's for this later.
This is part of like the whole thing with her. So Samara is what they call a Justicar, all right? And a Justicar is basically what's the best way that we could put this? Like they're kind of like the revered
they are like
they're like
holy righteous warriors.
Yeah, they're like paladins. I guess.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of paladin.
They're like a paladin or a crusader or Inquisition kind of feel. They are like the specters of the Asari too as well. They have like a special reverence there that once you kind of reach a certain age in your life, you can be you can enter your matriarch phase, but some of them just go into be Justicars, where they just want to like try to meditate and bring about the good ideas, like battle monks, warriors, stuff like that. Samara is that kind of character. She's an elder Asari. She's older. She's not the same age as Liara. She is hundreds and hundreds of years older. She's had multiple daughters, and she's unfortunately been cursed with the genetic defect, as they like to say, of producing Ardak Yashis.
Yes, all 3 of her daughters, and that's part of her atonement, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's her loyalty quest, is hunting down the because 2 of them they decide, we'll go to the monastery and live out our lives there.
Yeah, like they become nuns, kind of, basically.
Yeah, space nuns. But one of them is like, I'm not doing that. And so her objective is she has to hunt down and kill her own daughter. So
yeah. And Shock says she has the best ending, LOL.
Yeah, and I just pulled up her wiki, and she's nearly 1,000 years old.
Yeah, so she's like
a while.
She's like at the end of her lifespan for Asari years, because Asaris they tend to live like 1,000 years. But overall, very powerful biotic, very ruthless. That's another thing too, is like her first introduction is just her murdering a defenseless person that she already beat. I guess it's not a defenseless person, but it's like a criminal, and you get her, and then she just is like, nah, it's time for you to die.
I forget exactly how she was introduced.
You go to Ilium, where Thane is. And
okay, that's what I was saying. I was like, I think Thane, when you introduced him, I think that was on Ilium.
Yeah, it was on Ilium. So she's the other character that you could get on Ilium. And Justicars kind of basically have full reign to do everything. That's another thing. They're kind of like, that's where I kind of be like, they're like specters as well. Is like, if a Justicar comes in, all the Asari are like, fuck. Yeah. Oh, we gotta deal with this nonsense. And then, because like Justicars can do whatever they basically want. They're one of the more revered parts of society, but a lot of people don't like them too because they look at them as like religious zealots.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, we gotta deal with this shit. We gotta deal with this now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Samara, really good. A lot of people like her. A lot of people wish that she was a more in-depth romance option. I know that for sure.
Yeah, because it says potential love interest, but I don't think you can ever actually go anywhere with that.
You can.
Okay.
You can, but it's in Mass Effect 3 only.
Oh, okay. That's why. I was like, I think I tried to romance her on a playthrough and you couldn't, because she's, like I said, is, that is against her code, and she lives her entire life by the Justicar code.
Yes. In fact, she even says maybe in another lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, we got one more. Squad mate, and this is the one that I think everyone loves and will fucking kind of agree with. We get Legion, and Legion is your Geth companion in this game.
This was the other one that kind of like blew my mind after Archangel ended up being Garrus. I was like, wait, a Geth teammate? How does that work? And yeah, Legion is awesome. I love him as a character.
Also, I believe, if I recall correctly, he's his voice actor, Wesker.
Oh, from Resident Evil?
Yeah, his voice actor is the same. Albert Wesker's voice actor is also the voice
Douglas.
That's it, DC Douglas.
Resident Evil 5. Yeah, his most known for says Albert Wesker in Resident Evil 5, but I'm assuming he's Wesker in a number of other Resident Evil things as well.
Yeah, but DC Douglas is his voice actor. Very famous voice actor. Very loved by the community. And also gets to play probably the most shock companion that they added there. And that is, of course, Mr. Legion. Obviously gives you a lot of background lore with everyone. The whole fight with him and Tali leads to some interesting interactions. There are some funny ones where people have found that you could bring Legion on Tali's loyalty mission.
Mm-hmm.
And there is dialogue in there, too. Where Legion's like, Shepard Commander, I don't think this is a good idea. I agree with Tali. And they all just meet you at the airlock with their guns out. And then she's like, oh, Keela. And he's like, what are you doing bringing that thing up here?
Yeah, so the Quarians and the Geth have kind of a long storied history of being at each other's throats.
Yes, obviously from the first game, if you forgot, Quarians made the Geth. The Geth basically turned on them and
basically banished them from their planet, and now they're space hobos.
Yeah, exactly. They're space gypsies. That's the correct term right there.
Yeah, but I was gonna let you say that.
But it's more so obviously they messed around with AI. The AI came back to bite them. And then of course that's how everything happened to eventually lead to the whole Quarian and banishment and the whole big fear of AI as well. So let's kind of get talking more about the storyline. Obviously, we kind of bits and piece part of it, but obviously, Commander Shepard goes on his mission. He's kind of recruiting all these all these people to build up to try to find missing humans. Humans across the world, galaxy are going missing. And the big reason why is because you find out the people that killed him, the force that killed him, I should say.
Well, we don't know that they were killed. They're just disappearing. We're trying to find out why.
No, I'm talking about who killed Shepard.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about killing humans. I'm like, we don't really know that.
No.
Yes, at the beginning of the game.
So the things that killed him at the beginning of the game were called the Collectors. And the Collectors are basically an unknown alien race that just kind of pops out of this thing called the Omega-4 Relay. And what they do is they pop out, they kidnap, they buy stuff from slavers and everything else like that. And they take these people back to the Omega-4 Relay, and no ship comes back from there. They don't know what is over there. And there's like a whole big war about it where it's actually like Shangri-La and it's just like eternal peace and it's a paradise. That's why no one comes back. And the other ones just go like, no, you just go there. They eat you, because the Collectors are very mysterious looking creatures. They kind of are insect-like in nature. They have, no real personality per se. It's just, they're kind of grotesque monsters, to kind of put it more bluntly.
Yeah, they keep to themselves. The book does. The books do touch on them, or I think the first book does. But yeah, they're almost like a myth, and people don't believe that they actually exist because they are rarely ever seen. But when they are, they will, like you said, they'll either kidnap people of all different species because they're looking for very specific things like genetic anomalies and stuff. So one thing that they're very interested in is like twins or triplets, genetic anomalies. And they'll offer basically, like if you're doing a deal with them, it's almost like the deal is too good to be true because they'll like offer way more than you would think would be fair for something of such minor significance to us. Yeah, they go and take them back through the Omega-4 Relay to somewhere. And yeah, people, there's all these rumors and made up stories of what actually goes on the other side of the relay because no one ever goes there. And if they do, they don't come back. So.
Yeah, they're kind of looked upon, like you're saying, they do testing. And the testing kind of comes across as like Mengele level of experimentations. Like we want to look into more like what's going on with these species and everything else. You're trying to learn stuff about them. And they will deploy basically these stasis bugs, and they'll put all the humans in stasis. And then they'll round up everyone in these colonies and load them up on the ship and then take off with them and, take them away beyond the Omega-4 Relay and stuff like that. And on top of that, too, you get other returning villains as well. You get other races that kind of show up that add something else to it as well. The Vorcha are also one of the new races out there.
Right. I forgot the Vorcha are introduced in Mass Effect 2. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I got to pull up a picture of them real quick.
They are not pretty to look at or to listen to talk because they're not terribly intelligent either.
Yeah, so the Vorcha are very interesting creatures because they look like they are more, mammal based, but they're really a worm kind of creature. That's their lore. So they don't get diseases. They don't really get sick. Well, they can't get sick. They're completely immune to all illnesses out there. But the problem is that they have the shortest lifespan of all the sentient beings, where they only live about 20 years, comparatively speaking. So they're all kind of dumb, but they're just like smart enough. Best way to say is like orcs. Yeah.
Yes.
They're kind of like the orcs of the race, where it's like they're good at killing, but they're not really good at a lot of things besides that. They have really good regenerative powers. They're usually hired to go and do a lot of dangerous space missions like mining and stuff, because they can't get sick. They can recover real quickly. And if they die, it doesn't matter. They're going to die in like another 5 years anyway. So who cares?
Yeah,
It's very brutal, to say the least.
Yeah, they have. They're kind of like Wolverine in that they heal very, very quickly, but they're not immortal.
Yeah, and the drawback is they have a really short lifespan, comparatively speaking. Those Solarians tend to live double their lifespan.
The Solarians already don't have that long of a lifespan either.
Yeah, so that just puts it into perspective. And basically, everything around the Mass Effect 2 comes down to just going around recruiting your crew and trying to just upgrade your ship and just figure out what the collectors want, who the collectors are, and what they're doing. Obviously, we've talked about all the companions. So their side missions all basically come down to a deep personal matter that was unresolved with a lot of them. And this is where I think it starts to separate Mass Effect 1 and 2 a lot more, is just the great character development that you get in number 2. Like, you get a lot of story and world building in the game, but I think where it does kind of lack is just the in-depth character moments that Mass Effect 2 just really fleshes out, especially with their crewmates that you carry on with as well. Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. That is probably one of, if not the strongest aspect of Mass Effect 2 is the squad mates. And despite having the largest roster, they are all, some are more fleshed out than others, but they all kind of get their time to shine, and it really gives you a good understanding of each one of them and where they're coming from and why they're, why they join up with you and are fighting alongside you, and why they're potentially willing to die for or with you. Because that the collectors are through the Omega-4 relay, which no one's ever returned from. So you want to get your ship up to the strongest, because you're like, hey, we got to go through there at some point. So we got to upgrade the ship and get as strong as possible. And it could probably, the fact that no one's ever returned, it could very well be a suicide mission. So you want to make sure you got everything squared away. Everyone, you've earned all their full loyalty, and everyone's with you, to the end. And so that's
you also want to upgrade your ship too. So they rebuild the Normandy, and it's bigger, badder, stronger, and on top of that too, you want to talk to your crewmates and like just get to know them. So you want to upgrade, there's like kind of loyalty missions that are also like just within your crew, of just getting special power converters to help your ship handle stuff, getting special armaments so you can take down enemies a lot better. On top of that too, it's just like there's a lot of the old returning crew members just help you out a lot more. So you have Joker, and he's just this big pilot, and he's constantly bickering with the ship's AI that they put in there, EDI, who shows up as well. And you get this bickering old married couple kind of deal going on here, where you got the pilot who wants to have control, constantly finding the AI who is saying like, hey, I got to assist you. I can do all this other stuff.
And just real quickly, since we brought up EDI for the first time, EDI is an acronym. It is EDI, which is Enhanced Defense Intelligence, and voiced by Tricia Helfer, who most people probably know from Battlestar Galactica. And their dynamic is great. I love Joker and EDI's dynamic.
Yeah, and of course, one of the other returning characters is Dr. Chakwas from the first game, and she's in this one as the crew member there too. And she basically is just, you get more character development from these people. So they're talking about their times, serving on Alliance ships, talking about, private times and how life has really come far for them. The character development for them is just so much deep and in depth. And the reason why I really like it so much is that it's like emotional,
You
in
really
like a
come to
really
bond with the squad mates and the people on your ship that aren't combat people either. So
yeah. But it's just like what we could talk about the continuation of some of these characters, like Garrus, for example. All right, we talk about how like in the first game, Garrus doesn't really have that much depth or development to him. He's just like there. He's like the hot shot, young cop who just hates the system and wants to do more. And then what happens with Garrus is after Shepard dies, he's like, okay, I will be the new Shepard. And he goes around, he makes a crew of diverse alien races, and he's sitting there talking about them. He's like, I had a Krogan, I had a Batarian, I had a Solarian. And he goes into deep details about how each of his crew had like certain personalities and stuff. And then he's like, and then Sidonis betrayed us, and I lost everything.
That's right.
And you could tell he's just sitting there, Garrus, and he's just like, I thought I could be a superhero, and I turned out to just be, betrayed, and I had nothing, and I basically just wanted to die, after a certain point in time, because he's like, what's the point of going on? And you bring that spark back with him. There's obviously one of the big things about the end of his first mission was him basically getting shot up and almost dying. So he's got like scars as reminders of another failure,
Yeah. His mandible and neck is kind of tore up.
Yeah. And he tries to play it off, it's like Garrus is one of those guys that just tries to not let you know something's wrong. But eventually.
Yeah. I think even after he got, messed up, he's like, and look, I still look better than you, or something along those lines.
He's like, the ladies love the scars. I know. But, he gets like in depth with everything else. Like you have to, try to have Garrus like accept that Sidonis is not part of the problem anymore, that he can't live with himself, and that killing him is actually a mercy, and that you're better than this still. And
that was his loyalty mission, right?
Yeah. And it's like you could do the renegade path and let him, satiate his appetite for blood, or you could do the, the redemption path where he's just like, Garrus, come on, stop it, Garrus. Don't do this. You're better than this. You are the hero. And he's like, fine. I'm not happy about it, but fine. And it's just like there's more real character development. And he just like opens up to all these like funny stories, and he just like talks to you about like, yeah, I used to like really get into like these fights on these ships, and this female Turian was pissing me off, and then we ended up smashing. Like Garrus is one of those guys where you just look at him and you're just like, this is what a male figure feels like in video games, where it's just like he wants to do good, but he doesn't know how to do good,
Yeah. One other character, not a squad mate, but another character that I really liked, and we haven't mentioned at all. And it's very hard to keep her alive through the game. But your yeoman, Kelly Chambers.
Kelly Chambers, the weirdo that I don't like at all. And
you don't like? I like her. I like her like bubbly personality, and she's always happy, and I like her.
I'm like, why do I need a personal assistant to read my damn emails?
But yeah, she's very difficult to keep alive because there's a point at the end of the game where you only have a very limited amount of time to get stuff done if you want to save everyone on your crew. And yeah, but yeah, I like her.
Yeah, I don't know. She was like weird. She's like a psych evaluator. She does have one of the funnier lines. And it was like, if you play as male Shepard, he's like, oh yeah, women like the bad boys. And she's like, that's a terrible stereotype. In my case, happens to be true, but still, it's like, she is also a romance option, quote unquote. But I don't know, she's just weird. She's definitely better than Diana Allers in the second game, in the third game, though. I'll say that much.
Okay, I liked her too, but she was based on Jessica Chobot, who
I found out does like a Travel Channel show now.
I know that she basically quit. Like she was IGN, right?
I think it was Attack and Show.
Oh yeah, she was part of G4. That's right. And after that, I know she went off to kind of do her own thing.
She could have went to IGN afterwards. But she was like really popular.
Yeah, for good reason. But yeah, after she kind of left the video game scene, I know she did like some on her own that was like travel related, but I don't know how long that lasted or whether she still does that.
Hey, we got Mr. Big Dog Jake.
What is up, Jake? How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Like the stream nerds. Also, Kelly, go feed my fish, please. Diana Allers is a joke, and I always dislike Joe.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, like that's another thing too. It's like I'll feed your fish. I'm like, but I could buy something that does that too. It's like even the game like works against her. It's like there's no reward with her at all. Like it's. I like their attempt to try to do something with the character, but if I didn't talk to her, it's just like easily forgettable and not very liked. That's the best way to say it.
So you know what? Next time I play Mass Effect 2, I'm gonna romance her just to spite you.
You should do it and then feel very unfulfilled. It's like, yes, it's a loveless marriage, that's for sure. But speaking of romance, like that's Garrus's romance with female Shepard is one of the ones I really like. Because
I didn't even know, like I didn't realize it. Because similar how I like always played through as the adept first. I always played male Shep on the first one, and then female Shep on the second one. And when I realized that he was a romance option, I was like, oh, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that one's really funny, and it's just like I was like, I guess it's the scars. I don't know.
How does that work? I guess Morden will fill us in on the details.
Yeah, but it's like we've talked about before. Like the Turians and the Quarians have a dextroamino, DNA, so they have to eat food differently and stuff like that. Even Morden jokes about that. He has to go like when you have intercourse, don't ingest, kind of deal like that. It's insane funny. Also, before I pop off, Morden's lines about Garrus and Femship getting together is hilarious. It is.
Yeah.
And they need someone to hard correct for the jump to contrast for the xenophobia of Ashley in the first game. If you didn't, Jake, you should listen to that first Mass Effect episode where I go in and explain, Ashley Williams is the most misunderstood character in Mass Effect 1, but I digress. But yeah, it is funny because Garrus is very awkward. That's another thing too, because he's trying to like be good. But another thing too is 2 left feet when it comes to romance. That's another thing that you learned.
Really kind of along the lines of like when I was playing Femshep and I discovered that Garrus was a romance option. In Mass Effect 3, if you don't he can end up with Tali, which I thought was kind of cool. I thought it was interesting. And also, it's like, how exactly does that work? But we're not.
So they actually lay the lore for Tali very well. So she talks about how she was really into this vid called Fleet and Flotilla.
I remember hearing about that.
So Fleet and Flotilla in the Mass Effect universe is about a Quarian girl falling in love with a Turian guy. And they have to... That's why it's called Fleet and Flotilla. It's like they got their duty to the fleet and the flotilla, but will they find love in the end?
It's like the Romeo and Juliet of space.
Yeah, you could kind of say that. And going back to like why I like the romance, like the romance stuff, like also brings out so much more character depth, and it just feels more natural. So it's like when you are romancing these characters, like I'll stick with the Femship line. Like when you romance someone like, say, Garrus, and he's like, if you were a Turian, I guess I would compliment your fringe and your waist. So like your hair is good. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
It's like, I'm really bad at this.
Yeah. See,
I think there's a point where FemShep's like, just shut up.
Yeah. It's just like, just lead the way. But it does establish that thing where it's just like, I just have messed up so many things in my life. I want this to work out, and I don't want to mess this up. And it's honestly, it's like, yeah, it's heartbreaking, it's heartwarming at the same time, because it's like, yeah, you want Garrus to get a win, basically.
Yes.
And another thing too is like the other option out there, like when we're talking about Thane, he's this killer that doesn't feel remorse as much as he's just like, this is a job, may you find peace in the next life, but I'm here just to do everything. And he's another person too. He's dying, he doesn't have much time left. He's trying to make amends with his son and just say like, look, the people that killed your mother, I understand that you may blame me and everything, but don't go down my path. Don't fall for it. I raised you to be a person that wasn't a monster like I am,
Yeah. That was another one. I was like, I mean, I guess it makes sense that he's a romance option, but it was also surprising. But that's because, let's see here. I guess as FemShep, you can romance Jacob, but like, why would you want to?
Yeah, Jacob is a boring romance. I never did. I watched a video on it, and it's like, that's it. This is boring.
And I don't think you can, as FemShep, I don't think you can, the only other option, well, you can't romance Grunt or Zaid.
No, FemShep is only Thane, obviously Garrus, Jacob, Trainer, and then
oh yeah, that's right. Liara.
Which you could continue that relationship with Liara with the DLC.
Okay. I was like, that's right, in the DLC.
And then, male shepherd is obviously Miranda, Jack and Tally. And then of course Liara if you continue that.
Yeah.
But like even like Thane, like he's breaking down, he's crying. He says he has like a pet name for Shepherd. It's like, my Siha. And then she's like, well, what'd you say to me? Did you call me a slur? Like what's going on here? She's like, there's no real translation for it. It means like battle goddess or something. That's the best way I could come up with it. But even he is like breaking down. He's like, why am I getting another chance? Why am I falling in love? I'm dying. Why am I getting another chance at this? I've already ruined everything. I got my first love killed, and everything else like that. It's very heartbreaking kind of deals that they write these characters to be this way, where they're losing everything around them, and then it's just like, well, here's that hand of like second chance. He's like, why am I getting a second chance? And why does it have to be with me having terminal illness and everything else around me? I don't understand it,
Yeah. Because he's trying to atone for what he's done, and he's a good guy.
Yeah, that's a lot of things I really like about Mass Effect 2 is you can let them play into their wild sides, but a lot of it is also atonement. So like people like, say, for example, Jack's whole big thing is just, I want to kind of close my past, but I also want to move on from it. I want to atone from it. I don't want to be just a senseless killing machine. I want to find purpose in my life,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like her character development is like, you can let her just continue to be, a space junkie. You could just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then we just move on with this storyline. But it's just the deeper storyline that you find with her, where it's just like, why are you being so nice to me? Why are you being a Boy Scout? What's going on here?
Yeah, that kind of pisses her off too. When you're just like, always being good to her, even when she knows she like doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, it's just like, why are you being so nice to me? Are you sizing me up, Shepard? And you can be like, no, just trying to be friends. And she's like, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. And it plays into her natural, paranoia and just, being an abuse victim and just trying to numb the pain in every way with like, drugs and tattoos and just insane sex, and it keeps going along that path where you just see like the characters develop and they become more, I guess, human, overall just well-rounded characters, like like we were talking about before, like Jacob's character line. Even if I don't like the storyline, I think it's an interesting concept that his dad basically becomes Lord of the Flies because they're trapped on this planet and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning Lord of the Flies once or twice on some of your recent streams, and I don't get that reference because I don't even know what Lord of the Flies is about. I've heard the title, but that I know nothing about it.
Quick synopsis: boys end up on island and then deteriorates. So like that's what it all is. Is that it's basically these boys they form a society and the society falls apart and then devolves into chaos. Okay. And it's kind of like that's kind of like the best reference I can think of with Jacob's loyalty mission is because his dad, is leading this group of people. And when they eat the local flora and fauna and stuff like that, they start to revert to childish, things. But he's still eating like just regular food, so he has his faculties about him, and that's why we find a distress signal for him is basically because like now the natives are becoming feral, as they would say, and he's trying to get out while he can get out. And Jacob's like, that's it. That's really what my dad is. He's just a giant piece of shit.
Yep.
But like, Grunt is like still, like you said, probably one of the best missions out there too, because they just like joke about it, where obviously you run back into Rex, Tuchanka, because that's where you want to take him is to
assuming
Tuchanka.
He's still alive,
but most likely, more than not, he is. And you want to give a breakdown of the whole series on Tuchanka and stuff? I gotta go use the bathroom real quick.
Okay, so to get into some of the loyalty missions. So Tuchanka is the home planet of the Krogans, which they became pretty advanced, got to atomic weapons, and because of their warlike nature, they blew themselves to smithereens. So their planet is basically ruins and rubble, and there are clans, and like Rex is Clan Urdnot, and Grunt is a tank grown, so tank bred, so he doesn't have a clan, and he's going through what is essentially Krogan adolescence, puberty, and he's got like this itch that needs scratching, not like a physical, but like a metaphorical one, and he like needs to kill because it's in his nature, and like nothing seems to satisfy it, and it's because he needs to go through the ritual that they have for Krogans. Once they reach a certain age, they prove themselves, then they become officially part of the clan. And so during the ritual, you get to take a couple people with you who are your essentially like your battle brothers. I forget what there's a term for them. Your Krant, that's what it is. Your Krant. Your Krant is basically like your brothers in arms. And so he obviously, you as Shepard, and then whoever you want to pick as your third party member, go and through his loyalty mission. And that is you have to, I think typically the ritual is you just have to survive in this area against a Thresher Maw. And they actually have a bell that summons the Thresher Maw, and you have to survive for a certain amount of time. But you and Grunt and whoever you take as your third party member, you actually end up killing the Thresher Maw, and he becomes kind of like legendary status, kind of like, because the last time that happened was many generations ago. No one's killed a Thresher Maw in a very long time, so you're kind of like riding high, and then that kind of quells his need to kill, and he becomes part of Clan Urdnot as well, and he's finally like found his place as a Krogan. So you back there yet?
Yeah, I'm back. I just got back.
Okay. So his loyalty mission of fighting the Thresher Maw is probably my favorite loyalty mission. And the fact that you're the first one to take down a Thresher Maw in a very long time. It's kind of like in Avatar, how Jake Sully is like the first one to capture the big giant flying beast for the first one in many generations, and so that gains everyone's adoration. Kind of similar thing, since you actually took down the Thresher Maw. Grunt is then looked upon favorably by the rest of the Krogan.
Yes, he's allowed to join Clan Urdnot, so he gets to join Rex's clan.
Yeah. So yeah, assuming that Rex is still alive, he's kind of like the head of Clan Urdnot. But if he's not, I think it's Reeve. Is that the one who took his place? And no one likes Reeve.
No one likes Reeve. That's why we all just don't pretend he exists.
Make sure that Rex survives Mass Effect 1, because you don't want to deal with Reeve.
I mean, Reeve is in Mass Effect 3 though. Even if Rex is alive, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember that.
But he dies and no one cares. Everyone's like, good. But there's also the Mordin mission, and the Mordin mission
that is also on Tuchanka.
That is also on Tuchanka.
That's his loyalty mission.
And that's him, because he tells you, it's like, yeah, I worked on, a genophage project, and we released a modified genophage out there to prevent them from overcoming what they look to be kind of gaining immunity to.
Yeah, that's right. Because the original genophage wasn't good enough. It didn't have like enough of a lasting effect, and so they needed to basically like reapply it to the Krogans without them knowing, which is pretty messed up.
Yeah, like I said, he was a Black Ops unit, and they were distributing the genophage through the filters that they installed on Tuchanka. So the clean air
masqueraded as a humanitarian effort to help them recover from their own, nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah, to help them with clean air, they were also spreading the genophage to help keep them, sterilized as well. And the whole big thing about it is Mordin has to figure out, okay, somebody seems to be curing the genophage, and we got to stop whoever's doing it, which turns out to be an old assistant of Mordin's as well. Where
Malin, right?
Yeah, Malin. You're correct. And you get this whole philosophical breakdown where it's just like, look, is it philosophical? Is it correct to just like keep following through with the mission, even when you aren't a part of it? And it's just that moral quandary that Mordin has to constantly live with and try to figure out, and everything else like that.
Yeah, come to terms with some of the terrible things that he's done.
Yeah. The big thing about a lot of these missions is, even though a lot of people like to go like, well, it's either good choice or bad choice. I'm like, I hate when people do that, because they take away the writing.
There's a lot of gray areas in Mass Effect for sure.
Yeah. But there's just a lot of good writing in that game too. And it's like, yeah, really, real life would always come down to a lot of just like the simple decisions. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's just very disrespectful now, especially when we talk about RPG writing and stuff, that people just kind of just throw it out the window to like just, oh, I didn't like the ending, so I'm going to now make it like a big diatribe about how everything else sucks because I didn't like the ending of something, And I'm like, well, what about the whole story that got us there,
That's why the disappointing ending of 3 is not that big of a deal for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's so many good moments that just lead up to it.
I've always said it's the journey, not the destination, when it comes to Mass Effect.
Yeah, and like I said, there's some real hard-hitting character development. Like Tally's whole big, loyalty mission is trying to defend the honor of her father, because there's a big Geth outbreak, and it's really because of her dad trying to experiment with the Geth that they rearm and they take over the ship and kill everyone. And the big thing about it is she's definitely afraid of her dad just being expunged from the records, especially because she and him have lost so much. Obviously, her mother died in a viral outbreak on one of the ships. And, it was just basically her and her dad was an admiral. So she had a lot to live up to. And now just to find out is like, my dad is going to be erased completely from the history books. And I will never overcome that mark of shame. And she's more willing to just be exiled than let her own, even though her dad's dead and gone, she'd rather just not have his legacy be completely erased. And she's willing to take the fall for it. Yeah. And obviously, if you get your renegade or your Paragon points up enough, you can exonerate her from it. and you get to learn more about like the funny Quarian culture. Like there's a Admiral von Quib is one of the best ones out there.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And even then it's like, wait, what's your name again? And then Tali's like, oh, Keela. Here we go again.
Yeah, as we got into on the episode or previous episode about they're named basically from the ships that they've served on, and there's some interesting named ships out there.
Yeah, they basically said like, look, we can't change the names. It's just what we're stuck with, bro. But even like with characters like Legion, where the whole big thing comes down to that moral quandary of like, do we kill the heretics or do we override them and just force them back into our compliance as well?
Yeah, that's like basically the very end of the game, because after that, that's kind of when the invisible countdown starts. But you go and attack like this Geth base out in the middle of nowhere, and you can either choose to basically rewrite the programming of because the Geth have like a fracturing where some of them want to follow the Reapers and others are like, no, we don't need them, we can just be on our own. And those are the ones you kind of want to side with because they're not really hostile. It's the ones that are following the Reapers that are the bad Geth. You can either choose to rewrite the ones that want to follow the Reapers so that they'll be on your side or not. And it's like, that is, better for everyone if they don't follow the Reapers, but it's, are we any better if we don't even give them the choice?
Right. Like I said, it's a lot of moral quandaries that you could put out there. They kind of make you think about your choices, and I think they're all good at the end of it. I think Jacob's does not have the most impact. Miranda's is also very interesting because it's about her trying to reconnect with her sister. And she basically has to lie because they make it pretend like, oh, she's just a baby. But really, she's just a young adult as well. She's another kind of, genetically modified clone baby.
Yeah, I pulled her up on the wiki here. I did not realize that she was voiced by Laura Bailey.
Her sister?
Yeah, Oriana.
No, I did not know that either. This news to me.
Yeah,
I can hear it now that you say it. I'm like, oh. I think this was also before she got super big as well.
Yeah, probably because I didn't even know her name until maybe a year or two ago. Because I don't know that I've actually played anything where she was like a major role.
Oh, you want to know what? Look up Persona 4's voice cast, and you'll be blown away at how stacked and talented that is. Like a lot of people who voice characters in Persona 4 are really big name voice actors that you would know now.
Okay.
One of the characters, Yosuke, is Yuri Lowenthal, and he's, if you don't know who that is, he's the voice of Peter Parker in the Spider-Man series now for Insomniac.
That's the only reason why I do know his name is because of Spider-Man.
But I think Laura Bailey is also in there too. She plays a character in there. I forget which one. And there's also another famous voice actor that I'm blanking on right now. But that's another time. We're still talking about Mass Effect. But yeah, should we talk more about the big twist about this as well?
Yeah, I was. Did you want to get in? Maybe we don't have to go into a lot of detail, but maybe briefly go over all the rest of the loyalty missions. Or
I think we kind of hit them all, didn't we? We didn't hit Samara. That's the only one I think we didn't hit, and the DLC characters.
Yeah.
But it's like the DLC characters are interesting. Zaid is just like a personal revenge story, so his is pretty basic, and it's either you make him happy or you make him mad, one way or the other. That's really it. Kasumi's is the entire DLC, and she's the more interesting one because I think obviously she's a whole DLC for it. So it's like a mystery one where you go around and you do some sabotage and stuff like that before it becomes a firefight.
It's kind of like early Assassin's Creed in that it's social stealth.
Mm-hmm.
You're sneaking around a party and trying to break into this guy's mansion, essentially, to get something of hers.
Well, it's to get Keiji's black box, and basically what that is it's just his memories of all the past crimes and stuff they all did, and he has a bunch of blackmail and stuff on there. And it basically comes down to, do you delete it and KG basically disappears forever, or do you keep it and just basically have Kasumi live with the fact that now she's going to be wanted for the rest of her life because she didn't delete these memories? And if they got out, it could cause a lot of problems for the greater galaxy as a whole.
Yeah. So, and then we briefly mentioned it on some of them, but like Thane, it's about stopping his son from following in his footsteps of becoming an assassin.
Yep.
And then just a little bit more on Miranda's. She's trying to protect her little sister, basically from her dad, and because she doesn't want her little sister to go through all the things that she went through. And then, Samara was the one we haven't talked about at all. And that is that, as you did mention earlier, that she had 3 daughters. 2 of them went to the monastery. 1 did not, and that was Morinth. And Ardat Yakshi's, if they mate with anyone, the person they mate with dies. And
yeah, they're like a living STD. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, and so Mara is tasked with killing her, since they're given the option to go to the monastery and live out, or be, executed. And she's like, no, and escaped, and is having the time of her life. And you're tracking her down, and that's an interesting choice at the end of that one, is you can have Samara kill her, or because they get into a biotic battle and you can kind of pick who wins, and you can actually have Morinth win and take Samara's place, but the only person who knows it is you. No one else knows that Samara was replaced by Morinth. And you can also, you can't actually have a relationship with Samara, but you can with Morinth, and
it kills you.
Unsurprisingly, it kills you and you get a game over. But everyone had to, I'm sure everyone had to do it once just to see what would happen.
Another thing too is during that if you talk to Samara later, where she talks about how proud of her she was, of her daughter, she was the smartest and most resourceful, and how she really regrets having to kill her, because she is also basically, as a cunning predator that just kills,
Yeah,
like that. That's really just
her
the
daughter.
truth
She
about
doesn't
it.
want to kill her daughter, but she has to, because it's part of the Justicar code.
Yeah, it's just very sad for her, because it's just like, she is the best and the brightest and what I love the most, and just sadly she had to turn out to be just the alien version of AIDS, just running around, just blowing through people, murdering them. And like, even then, like, you talk to all these people who like, you're talking to this mother of this one girl who basically was preyed upon by her daughter, and how she was just this quiet, mousy girl. And then it's like, then Morinth comes into her life, and then she's taking her out to do all this stuff, do all these drugs. And then she's talking about how, like, oh, I'm really feeling it. This girl's great. I love her so much. This is awesome. And then it's just like dead.
Yep.
And you could see just this evil monster that she really is deep down, and
She's
just
using her.
It's sad. That's the best way to say it. It just shows a lot of range there too. But it's also funny too, because she's like, well, Morinth said, well, if you talk to her, she's like, well, Morinth says, like, the Ardat Yakshi are the future of the Asari, and she's like, well, they're all sterile, so what kind of future do you have? Like, with that,
And another thing on Ardat Yakshi, I didn't realize this till much later, but because you don't actually fight any Reaper ground force until Mass Effect 3. And the Banshees are obviously Asari, but the Banshees actually only come from the Ardat Yakshis.
Yeah. And that's why they make a big thing about the monastery. If you pick some Morinth too, Morinth becomes a Banshee. She's actually one of the Banshees in the game. I think she's like a special Banshee too. Like, you could see her name pop up to let you know that she got turned into Banshee. A lot of people don't. So that's also why I had to point it out there. Is there any other thing about the missions that you want to talk about that we might have missed?
Just on Mordin's, at the end, you basically recover some data about the Genophage. You can choose to delete it or retain it, keep it for you, and it actually, that plays into a big part of Mass Effect 3.
Right. Okay.
Oh, the one. Oh, we didn't actually talk about Jax, and basically she wants to get revenge on Cerberus, so she wants to go back to the facility she basically grew up in as a lab rat and nuke it. So you have to go and set a bomb and blow it up. So
yeah, that's true. It's she goes around and tells you where she was tortured, how they were beating her, and then she's like, this bloodstain is the first person I killed. And then that's kind of where I learned to just take power back for myself and stuff like that. Very, very much a very, heartbreaking, one that I think resonates a lot more the older I get too.
Yeah, it's like you totally understand where she's coming from.
Yeah, it's more so like now that you learn about stuff like, child trafficking and stuff like that, you just, it's just, it just is what it is after a certain point in time,
Yeah. So, all right. So, to get into the twist, I'm assuming you're talking about at the end of Act 2 when you find out a little bit more about the collectors when you go onto their ship.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting closer to the time where I kind of want to get close to wrapping this up because there is a lot of density in this game, and it's mostly around just the character development. So, really, really good character development overall. Obviously, another thing too that we should mention, depending on who you pick to survive, Vermeer, Ashley, or Kaidan, they will show up on another colony that you're trying to save.
That's right.
And you eventually do save, and then they give you this like big talking down to. It's like, why are you with Cerberus? I hate Cerberus. And it's like, well, look, you don't understand, all right? And if you romanced one of them, obviously they don't know how to feel, and they kind of just like they go, hi, bye, we'll figure this out later. I can't think right now. I mean, you were dead and now you're alive. And to be honest with you, if somebody I knew like died and I saw them 2 years later, I'm like, how are you alive? I would question a lot more things in life. It was like, well, how easy is it to bring people back from the dead? That's my next question. Is like, why can't we do this more?
Yes. It's like, it's not easy.
But we can do it, as you're saying. Which, like I said, nobody questions it, but we digress. So, obviously, one of the missions is you get a report that the collector ship is kind of in stasis. So you don't know what's going on with the collector ship. So you get to land on there.
And I think it's the one that attacked you at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's the only ship, basically. I think they only have that one ship, the collectors, to do all their missions, it feels like, to be honest with you.
As far as we know.
Yeah. But you get to go explore the collector ship, and you get to learn more about who the collectors are. And you get to find them, and you find like a biological... I think it's like a testing station that's running DNA analysis and everything else like that. And EDI starts to hack it and everything. And the big revelation is, for people who haven't played the game, obviously, if you don't want to hear it, why are you here anyway? You've made it this far. But as everyone knows, you get the whole shebang where it's just the collectors didn't defeat the Protheans. The collectors are the Protheans.
They were enslaved by the Reapers and experimented on and turned into the collectors to do their bidding.
Yes. They're basically all just mindless vessels there to be taken control of by Harbinger from one centralized location. And he kind of intervenes directly by taking over them. That's where the assuming direct control.
Direct control.
Yep. You get to fight more badass versions of the collectors. And on top of that, too, it's just you basically learn the fate of the Protheans, that they just became meat suits. Everything was ripped out, just stripped out, put in with tech, no digestive system, no soul, no thought process, just the empty vessels that are there to just be the puppets of the Reapers.
They're basically like worker drone bees or worker ants that just follow the instructions of like the queen, essentially.
Yes, exactly. And on top of that too, it's just it is such a scary thing to think about, that this is what the Reapers do. As we learned with the Keepers in the first game, they make them just basically the janitors of, your destruction. And now they also, you find out that they have more levers that they want to pull. And just keep constantly, the ride doesn't end, as the joke is. It's just the Reapers will find a way to murder every organic life in this galaxy, no matter what you do.
Yeah, they got their Reapers, even though they're gone for 50,000 years at a time. They still have their fingers and everything, manipulating the development of the galaxy into the way they want it to be.
Which is one thing that we should bring up too. When you first meet Legion, is actually from a dead Reaper as well too.
Yes.
And even when a Reaper is dead, there is a line in there that they will still indoctrinate you.
Yeah, it's having too much proximity to a Reaper, even a dead one, can still cause indoctrination.
Yes, and it's just like, how do you kill the mind of a dead god? It's just what the scientists were saying, and they even point out too, because there is one planet on Mass Effect that has this giant scar across it, and the Codex says it's not a natural formation. It was made by a civilization, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And you basically find out that this entire civilization went extinct just to kill one Reaper, and that's the floating Reaper that's there. And it's funny too, because nobody could find this Reaper. I guess it was always just messing up, and no one could find the dead body to alert them. But I digress. But it feels like they also have more Reapers that were just hidden, that weren't activated. Obviously, Sovereign is one of those Reapers that you find out about in the first game, where he's just there as the Vanguard to activate the signal. And then when he couldn't activate the signal, he panicked, and he's like, "What do I do?"
Oh shoot! What was I going to say? I was just going to say that, and I totally spaced on what it was. So never mind.
I guess it was not that important. But the collectors, it's always kind of creeped me out how it's just well, this is the Protheans, I mean, this is the fate of everybody who opposes the Reapers. And even if you think you do a good job, they all win in the end. And then you're just basically turned into, goop, and just you're reformed into whatever their twisted machine minds can think of. And it's always bad.
Yeah. Essentially, there's no winning against the Reapers, because the Reapers always win is kind of the gist that you get, because the Protheans are held in such high regard as obviously they lost, but they held out long enough to have some stuff survive into the next cycle, but even they got turned to the Reaper's will, despite their resolve against them.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and it's creepy, and we could kind of hop to the end of this game too, where basically everything comes down to doing the mission right at the end of the day. So obviously you build up this whole giant crew, you go around and you build up all your ship's defenses and everything else like that.
Yeah, I think it was increase the ship's hull strength, the shield strength, and your laser weapon guns.
Yeah.
And those. Oh, that's another thing we didn't actually touch on at all. Is probably the worst part of Mass Effect 2 is all the scanning of planets and mining, which is really annoying.
I didn't mind that. I thought it was relaxing.
Okay. But yeah, that's a lot of their biggest complaint. That probably my biggest complaint is really annoying. So fortunately, they toned that way down in Mass Effect 3. But you do get all these resources that you can use on upgrading things, both your ship, because those ship upgrades are much more expensive than everything else, but you can use those to also increase other things like your armors and guns and stuff that you actually use in combat.
Yeah. So I kind of want to close this out, Neil, because we've been going for so long, and I'm really sweating because my room is hot.
All right. So at the end, the suicide mission, you go through the Omega 4 relay.
Yes. And basically, if you don't prepare, be prepared to lose all the things you love about this game, because people are going to blow up. People are going to die. Everything's going to go bad. But
it's possible that everyone dies except for Joker, essentially.
Yeah. Basically, Shepard tells Joker, you got to go warn them and we'll take it. You got to do it because we failed. Well, they didn't really fail. It was just like we did it, but it cost us everything.
But if you prepare well enough, you can make it so that everyone survives.
Yes. And now that's the part that I really think is the cool part. I cut you off, but go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, because you make a number of choices in the end of the suicide mission, and every one of your choices has an impact.
Everyone does.
Yes, there's actually a line. I don't remember if it was in 2 or 3, but you
really, Shepard? Seriously?
Yeah, exactly. EDI will deride you when you send a probe to Uranus. But there's a lot. You have a number of very important points through the course of the suicide mission. You have to pick. You have all. Normally throughout the entire game, when you go on a mission, you only pick 2 people to go with you, and then all the rest of the people on your squad are just, that's kind of a very common thing for RPGs. You have all these people to have in your party, but while you're out on a mission, what the heck is the rest of the crew doing? But on the suicide mission, everyone's with you. You're all in the mission together, and you come to these points where you have to pick, I want you to lead this team, and I want you to lead this team. And at this, even by the time you get to that point, if you didn't level up your ship, you might have already lost a few squad mates. Mm-hmm. And so you have to pick the right people to go on these missions. And if you haven't done all the loyalty missions, you may not even be able to make all the right choices, and people are still going to end up dead. So there's all these diverging paths. You have to pick who you want to go on to do these different things. And depending on your choices, everyone may end up dead, or everyone may end up surviving, or somewhere in between, which really makes it, hammers the point home of all your choices that you made throughout the course of the game. This is when it comes down to the wire now on how important those were, and did you do everything right, and we'll decide who lives and who dies.
Yeah, and they tell you, like, okay, so you need to have people that are good with going through the engineering tunnels and stuff like that. You got to have people who are really powerful biotics to help get you through. And then you probably have to have like a really strong leader to be on your secondary team. And when you first did this, did you fail to get everyone to live?
I'm glad you asked that, because I was just thinking about that. The first time I played through Mass Effect 2, I'm pretty sure I did everything. So I'd done all the loyalty missions. I did not make some of the correct choices, though. I did succeed in the mission, and I made it back, but I did lose probably 3 or 4 of my squad mates in the process.
Jeez, you lost 3 or 4? I lost 1 guy. That's crazy.
If I remember correctly, like, it's been a long time since the first time I played through it back in 2010, but I do remember losing at least a few squad mates.
I only lost Thane. That's the only one I lost, because I sent him into the tubes.
Okay.
And he's not the person you want to send into the tubes. But everyone else I got correct. I went with Jack was my biotic to help us with the field part, and I had Garrus be the second in command.
Okay.
But yeah, when I sent, I later realized you don't send Thane, you send Legion or Tally into the tubes, and then you'll be A-okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to look through and see if there is an achievement for getting everyone to survive the suicide mission.
You do.
There is an achievement for that?
There is an achievement. I know for a fact.
Okay.
There is an achievement.
Looking for it to see how far after I actually beat the game for the first time until I got that achievement. So I will have that information for you in just a moment. Oh yeah, you said that you're the first one that on your first time, you ended up losing Thane.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess that's the one I guess I would probably be okay with, since he was dying anyway.
Let's see here. I do see an achievement for keep your team alive through the suicide mission. Is that your entire team?
Yeah. It has to be your entire team. And that also includes being there in time before everyone in your party becomes, Reaper goop.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that also included that.
Yeah, and Shock over here says I lost Thane, but I remember letting it happen because he was dying anyway.
Let's see here. Okay, so what happened was, yeah, I did lose some characters when I beat the game. I did it again immediately after I beat it, and then on my second time, I made it through without losing anyone because I beat the game for the first time on January 29th, 2010 at 10:14 p.m. And then I got the achievement for saving everyone at 11:41, so about an hour and a half later.
Yeah, so basically you have to go straight into the Reaper mission, and you have to save the people that were kidnapped from the Normandy's crew as well. Because if you don't, they turn into Reaper goo. And this is by far probably one of the most like mind-fucking things to find out about how Reapers are made. It just is like, it has no rhyme or reason. It's just machine does machine thing, peon. So
every one of these, 50,000 year cycles, they take, the inhabitants of the galaxy at that time and
the dominant species,
the dominant species, and use their genetic, their genetic code and stuff, their genetic material to make a new Reaper.
Yeah. So basically, Reapers are basically born by melting down trillions upon trillions of like actual living creatures into goop and injecting them into this Terminator-esque body frame. And that is the frame that you make for the beginning of a Reaper. It is diabolical and it is evil. And it basically also implies that they did not have enough material to make Protheans into a Reaper. So they settled for the next best thing and just turned them all into their just genetic lapdogs of just empty vessels.
Never picked up on that.
Yeah, so basically what the lore is that if they fail to make a Reaper out of the dominant species at the time, they instead turn around and they will do something horrible with them as well. They'll turn them into basically support craft, or just like they don't have the ability to be a Reaper, so they turn them into just monstrosities for them to be out there,
do their bidding.
Yeah, they're just their foot soldiers. They're their grunts. That's it. That's all they got. And the final boss fight, of course, is you fight the human Reaper and you kind of just kill it.
Yeah, you're fighting essentially like half of the T-800 from Terminator, which we were talking about last night. That's what I've been playing lately. But
yeah,
that's another one of the things that I often see as a point against Mass Effect 2 is the final boss fight doesn't really like make a whole lot of sense, or kind of doesn't fit. It seems like they came up with the fight and then tried to figure out a lore reason on why, rather than the other way around.
I think the lore reason on why was cool, though. I just feel like they had to do something, and they didn't do it.
I like the idea of it, of turning the species into a Reaper, but like you fight it even says it on the the health bar, like human Reaper, if I remember correctly, and they actually made it look like a human. But why do all the other Reapers look exactly the same and don't look like the species that they conquered?
I think it's more so like it's a core, and then they build around that core. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So every Reaper actually looks like has an internal free thinking,
like chassis.
So how can I say it? Every Reaper is basically the embodiment of the like the organics that they've turned into that Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's basically just like Attack on Titan. That's the best way to say it.
I know.
So how, like when they
Attack on Titan.
Well, the basic short of is like when they become Titans in Attack on Titan, like they merge into the Titan, and like the Titan becomes their body, but they're still inside the Titan. You know what I mean?
If you say so.
Yeah. But it's kind of like that concept for the Reapers. It's like they have like the humans there, and then the Reapers built around him, and he's integrated into the Reaper.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with the Titans. Like when they become a Titan, it's like they become the Titan, but they're still like the human is inside the Titan as like himself.
Okay, I did not know that.
There you go. And with that being said, that should kind of wind down this episode because we've been going for almost 3 hours. So, and we could probably went into more detail on everything.
Yeah, we definitely could have spent a lot more time. I was just looking through my achievements here real quick, and I got all of the Mass Effect 2 achievements in over the course of 2010 and 2011, except for one. That was the one for beating an Insanity. So that was the only achievement I had sitting on the game for a long time when I finally went back and beat it on Insanity in 2017. So it sat for like 6 years uncompleted with just that one achievement remaining.
Right. It's crazy. Any closing thoughts you'd like to add before we kind of move on and close out this episode?
We didn't really talk a whole lot about the gameplay, but I did briefly mention at the beginning of, like I said, the first one's like really heavy on the RPG elements. This one's really light on it. So in the first game, like you have like 12 skills that you can put like 15 points into each one or something like that. In this one, you have like 6, and you can only put it ends up because like your first one only costs 1 point, but then your second one costs 2 points, and the next one costs 3 points, and then the last one costs 4 points. But the last one, you get a choice between 2 different options, which was kind of a cool thing. They built on that for Mass Effect 3. But the fact that they pared that down so far from Mass Effect 1 is one of the reasons why I did like Mass Effect 1 better than Mass Effect 2 for a really long time. And the fact that in the first one, like there's just so many guns. It's kind of like Borderlands. You get all these like useless guns that you don't really like have any use for. In this one, there's not very many guns, and they're not very distinct from each other. And they built on that in Mass Effect 3 as well. That's another thing that is a reason why Mass Effect 2 isn't my favorite. Is just there's not enough variety in the character building, and the weapon variety is not a whole lot. But the M920, I don't remember exactly what the number is, but the Kane missile launcher, because you have heavy weapons in this one that don't show up in Mass Effect 1 or 3, is like the mini nuke launcher. That gun is freaking great, but it costs like a crap load of ammo to use. You can only fire it a couple times throughout the course of the game. But overall, Mass Effect 2 is great. I do really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to playing through it. When I get around to playing through the whole trilogy again, this is actually the one I'm probably looking the most forward to, just because it's the one I've beaten the fewest number of times. And the Shadow Broker DLC.
Yeah, we didn't get to pretty much any DLC except for the heist.
We didn't get into any of the DLC except for Kasumi's, because that was her loyalty mission.
There's just so much to do. It's hard to talk about Mass Effect and not get bogged down in the quagmire of just the characters, That's the best part about it. And this is why I love Mass Effect 2 and why it's my favorite game of all time. It's just the character development. The characters themselves are just so awesome and amazing. And yeah, you're right, Shock. We didn't talk about the best DLC too,
a lot of people, that's their favorite DLC in the franchise.
And we didn't talk about even the Arrival DLC as well too, which we didn't have time to talk about too.
Or the Overlord DLC.
So, I don't know, maybe we could do like a small addendum episode, a quick one, and we could just do a small live stream for a Mass Effect 2 Part 2, where you get into a little bit more detail. So maybe we'll do that there, Shock, and get down and break down a little bit more. Because this feels like this could be a very long series, but 3 hours is already a lot. And I thank everyone for stopping by and, definitely coming out for that one. But
yeah, we could definitely do a small wrapping up the rest of it. But yeah, Mass Effect 2 is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most when I replay the series, just because that's the one I've played through the least amount of times. And it's a great game. It's got excellent characters and the best character building in the franchise for sure. So,
yes, exactly.
I totally understand why it's a lot of people's favorite game in the series, and your favorite game of all time. Totally understand.
And maybe if you want to join us next time too, you can. We can work something out as well, because I know we talked about a lot of stuff today, and there's just so much more to talk about. So maybe in like a part 2 where we get more in detail, we can actually get down into some deeper topics. Would probably be a best way to do it, because Mass Effect 1, even though like there's a lot to do in that game, I feel like you could cover a lot of it in 3 hours and everything kind of wraps up nicely. But for this game, it's just there's so much lore density. And like I said, it's the biggest roster too, so that also hurts. So I definitely think that is something to consider later on. And cheating on Liara in that DLC is the best, most Telenova moment in video game history. Oh, it's funny. But yeah, Neil, you want to tell them about yourself? Got anything coming up? Anything planned? So on and so forth.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on to talk about Mass Effect again. Looking forward to if wrapping more Mass Effect 2 up, or if we go straight to Mass Effect 3, whatever. Looking forward to that. But for me, I will be having my next episode of Open Mic tomorrow night with a good buddy Paul Hadouken. And as always, we don't really have anything planned, so we'll just kind of go wherever the conversation takes us, with the exception of me living up to my end of losing the bet. So I'm not looking forward to that. I got to eat a pickle, and they're absolutely disgusting. But speaking of Mass Effect, Monday is the last Monday of the month, and I like doing Mass Effect Monday on the last Monday of the month. So I've got space for one more person to join us for some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer on Monday, if anyone wants to join. And then party chat on next Tuesday. So that is what I got coming up in the next week.
Okay, pretty cool. Link to his channel is in the description of this video. Go click him and then go watch him over there. Great guy, and we also do party chat and other things together. And it's definitely a fun time to be had. So go check that out, or even last night's episode of Backlog Battling. That's going to be on his channel from now on.
Yeah, go check out Backlog Battling, talking about what we've been playing lately.
Mm-hmm. As for myself, we'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to be doing a more streamlined version of the new show, just kind of talking about major topics and diving deeper into them, and kind of focusing, maybe just doing like a weekly like addendum show of just like, here's the smaller news stories that could fit into like a 10 to 15-minute video for people to check out. And I'll be joined by Mr. Tyler himself from the Game Shelf. So there's a lot of stuff. Gamescom is this week, and there's been a lot of fun announcements, and I think some big ones. Plus, it's Pokemon tournament is this weekend. Pokemon Worlds is this weekend. So there's some fun events going on there. So if you're in the San Francisco area, swing by, check out some cool Pokemon merch, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, Friday, we'll be back with Mr. Angry Canadian as we sit down and we talk about the Halo 1 Part 2. So we could sit down and finish up talking about the Halo 1 retrospective, about the story, campaign, and also our thoughts about Campaign Evolved and the original and Anniversary and how they all stack up together. So have a good night, everybody. We will see you all later. Peace out.
Good night.